shit off course. Which way shit's going? Spent too much time in hibernation. Sleep, what went wrong? Things changed from lift off up until the destination was reached. Mind and body weak, gone from the stress on the brain. Lost in the void of space. What does it really takes to stay sane and maintain stability? Is this really me floating in the maze haze of what will I, could I, who should I be? Am I destined to weep and cry my life away for all the wrong mistakes I made and take the blame? Damn, this shit is so insane. Just wanna flow free like a river into the ocean. Not headed what for the fucking drain. Life caught up in disarray. System malfunctioning. Made days instead of paydays. Red light blinking. Thinking, where's the green? Hoping this is a dream. It only seems to be a nightmare. Scared, pure fear of the unknown. Where's here? Do you know what I mean? Journeys through the galaxies at light speed. Please, just catch me.
Heart always crying, but my heart won't stay silent. Sky is the limit, but after that I'm not finished. Heart always crying, but my heart won't stay silent. Sky is the limit, but after that I'm not finished.
Yeah, I'm ready for liftoff, like a hooper when it's tip-off. Yeah, I'm ready to score, ready for war. Polishing my floor so I can shine like a diamond in the store. I sparkle like the son of Allah, creating rain, hail, and earthquakes, the God in the flesh. And they say God makes no mistakes. From natural disaster to calm and laughter, I'm balancing the scales like a yin-yang master. Emotional intelligence is energy intelligence. The wise use the mind to align with the elements. Health is a benefit. Treat the body like a temple. They creating viruses to end you. State to state, new mandates to take place. World's using faith as the government vaccinates. Hard to keep your head on straight in this world of the snakes. Reptilians post as heads of state and Congress. You gotta shine on regardless. Glow amongst the godless, rise in Christ conscious. Free yourself from mental bondage and let there be carnage to the dragon, the beast, and harlot. In Revelation, I got the heart of a gladiator. Lightsaber like Luke and Darth Vader. Training like a Jedi Knight to fight ops to get the crowd jumping like a New Year's ball drop. Let's go!
Heart always crying, but my heart won't stay silent. Sky is the limit, but after that I'm not finished. Heart always crying, but my heart won't stay silent. Sky is the limit, but after that I'm not finished. Heart always crying, but my heart won't stay silent. Sky is the limit, but after that I'm not finished. Heart always crying, but my heart won't stay silent. Sky is the limit, but after that I'm not finished.
Peace, power, and prosperity. What's going on, family? What's going on, people? What's going on, friends? Oh, man, it's been so long. It's been so long. Hold up. I gotta hit this. Oh, man. Look, man. I almost left y'all, man. But let me tell y'all, when you have a calling, that calling is going to keep calling. Let me know if y'all can hear me, those of you who are in the building. I know it's kind of late when I came on. Pardon me for yesterday. I know I was supposed to go live yesterday, but my power went out. My power was out until like early morning. It was burning up yesterday. So I had to spray my bed with water just to kind of sleep. So I was pretty much out during the day. So I was supposed to do it at 1 o'clock this afternoon. I couldn't do it. I was communicating with the ancestors in the astral realm, you know what I'm saying? On some nanu shit. Those of you who are old enough to know Mork and Mindy. But let's go. Ultra was popping, yo. It was popping, yo. Shout out to everybody who's coming in. And we're gonna get it started. Shit. I forgot some of the stuff on my soundboard. So that's how long I've been gone, man. But yeah, I'm glad to be back. I got a new computer that's coming. Oh well, actually that's here. I just got to set it up so the stream will be better, flow easier, and things like that. So yeah, I'm excited. We have let's start off this new moon in Cancer video with a story, right? And this particular story takes place with me. And I'm going to give you a gem to start this video that you could utilize for yourself. And it's going to be a powerful thing you can utilize for yourself, right? So I was talking to somebody, right? Talking to a fine young lady, but I had a feeling something was up, right? I just had a feeling something was up. And it was somebody I knew from my past, and kind of was like seeing if this flame could be rekindled, so to speak. So it was kind of short. We're getting together and things like that, right? A couple of months. Long story short, right? She's in my bed and we chilling, right? And all of a sudden, right, she falls asleep in the bed, and I happen to be kind of asleep but kind of up. And all I hear is her phone ringing, vibrating, vibrating, vibrating. So after like the 10th or 11th call, you know, of course, my spidey senses are tingling, right? And, you know, but my spidey senses were already tingling before this happened, right? So long story short, before she even came, Spirit said, yo, when she comes, light a rosemary candle, okay? Light a rosemary candle. And a rosemary is a herb that is used for protection. So there's rosemary scented candles, and there's rosemary herbs you could put in any candle, white, black, things like that. It's for protection, spiritual protection, energetic protection. But another side effect of burning that candle is people speak the truth. All right. It is a literal truth serum. Just by burning the rosemary, you will have someone speak the truth. So again, longer story longer. So the phone is ringing, right? So she thinks I'm sleeping, right? So I'm like, get that phone, right? Like I'm sleeping. So she looks, Freudian slip. She goes, oh shit, he's going to be mad at me, right? She goes, he's going to be mad at me. So I'm like, who the fuck is going to be mad at you, right? And look, a shock on her face. So longer story longer, that door was closed, right? To make way for somebody else in the future. No harm, no foul. Don't worry. I ain't mad because, again, I already knew what was happening. So a rosemary herb is a herb that you could definitely use during the Cancer season with your relationships, things like that, right? To expose the truth. But another thing about exposing the truth, it's going to expose your truth as well. So be careful using that. So I just want to start off with that little gem for someone who may need it. All right. So let's go into this new moon. We're going to start right now and, you know, get this thing cracking. So let's do this. Facts. Yeah. Crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, Scorpios, we natural. You know, I'm a Scorpio, those who are new here. So we're natural detectives. So we're able to snoop things out, so to speak, and see what's popping and see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So I already have the instinct. My intuition was already giving off the spidey senses. So it was very, very easy to, you know, so the rosemary candle was just a divine download telling me, right? And the interesting thing about this, before I even get into this Cancer thing, is I knew rosemary was for protection already, right? I already knew that from my studies, from Cunningham's. This is a book you could get, Cunningham's Book of Magical Herbs. You could also get this book. Let me do this real quick. You can also get this book, The Poison Path Herbal, right? Powerful book. All right. Don't sleep on this book. Powerful book. All right. With herbs and things, roots, for roots work. Okay. Coming into mysticism, you want to, you know, definitely it's about utilizing roots and root work in order to make things happen, just like what happened, right? So let's get into this. Let's get into this gnosis real quick. All right. Let me add this. Okay. And blow this up. All right. So Cancer, let's go into a little bit of the breakdown. Emerald Dream said, I've had a bad encounter with a Cancer woman. She was Cancer spells on me, and one of my husband in life left a bad taste for me. Hey, look, You know, Cancer is all about emotions. It's all about water, feelings, right? So Cancer's 50 Cent is a Cancer, right? So, you know, you see how 50 Cent is, right? 50 Cent is very petty. And 50 Cent was in the news, right? And we're going to go into some of the news stories, because when the seasons combine with the astrology, right, there's a mating effect. As above, so below, right? That is the maxim from our indigenous ancient wisdom teachers, right? As above, so below, the law of correspondence. So when we see things play out in mainstream media, usually, especially during new moons and full moons, there's always astrological correspondence in the quote unquote the above. There's always astrological correspondences in the news, right? And they always tie into usually deities, tarot cards, right? Or just the particular astrological symbol or sign and the element and the energy that it rules. So Cancer is ruled, right, by the moon, right? Cancer is it's water, deals with water. As a Scorpio, I'm a water sign. But Cancer is like how Young Dolph said, you know what I'm saying? Cancer is Young Dolph and what's his name? Key Glock, right? Cancer is water on water, right? Cancer is water on water. So Cancer is the watery, the emotions, you know what I'm saying? And the colors, gray, silver, white, okay? Lucky stones, pearl, emerald, opal, characteristics, intuition, family focused, right? All about family, definitely about intuition, all right? Feelings, emotions, right? Stubborn, all right? Stiff-necked, okay? People that don't really want to move. This is the shadow side, all right? Being stubborn. Cancer. 50 Cent, again, right? 50 Cent, there was a story with his girl that he used to date, Cuban Link, that came out recently. I think yesterday or 2 days ago, where she was like 50, where he said, you know, in that song PIMP, a chick can't get $1 out of me, and she couldn't get $1 out of him, right? As beautiful, as good as she looks or whatever, she couldn't get $1. She said that 50 Cent left her because she asked him for $10,000. And she said she never got $1 from him the whole relationship. So all the time that she was on IG with him and showing him off and him showing her off, he never gave her a red cent, right? Not one penny. So he said when she asked her for 10,000, he said, well, I was waiting for you to do that. And he basically showed her the door, right? But that's somebody who's stubborn. That's somebody who's been scarred, right? We know 50 Cent's history with his daughter's mother, right? His first daughter's, his son's mother, his first child's mother, right? His son's mother, right? I believe his name is Marquise or something like that, where he was, where he had issues with her, right? And she was looking for money. So 50 Cent is emotionally scarred, right? He got some serious
emotional damage,
right? And this is some healing that he has to do, some emotional healing. So we're going to get into that. Cancer is also psychic, right? Cancer is also nurturer, and Cancer is also the women. If you look on the right, you see the element of water, the crab. It's a cardinal sign, right? So a cardinal sign, any cardinal sign means it starts off a season. So this season that Cancer is starting off is summer, because the summer solstice is usually, well, always the start of Cancer season, right? But Cancer is also the most feminine sign of the zodiac, right? You would think it's Virgo, but Virgo is more service oriented, more detail oriented, right? More of a taskmaster. But Cancer is more the full embodiment of the divine feminine. And even if you are a male, you still have an inner self. That inner self is represented by feminine energy. That inner self, the intuition, the insight, the invoking, right? The going within, tapping in. That's all divine feminine energy. We're not talking about genders, right? We're talking about energy. We're talking about power. We're talking about frequency, all right? And this is the 4th house. Easy way to understand the houses is basically go from Aries. All Aries is the first house, Taurus is the second house, and then Pisces is the 12th house, which is the last sign of the zodiac, right? And then you could just count, pretty much count from Aries to whatever, and that's how you know the houses. So whatever the sign it is, just count from Aries, which is the first sign, and go 1, Taurus, 2, 3, Gemini, 4, Cancer, right? So it's the 4th sign. So that's how you understand the houses. And you can always pull up your own birth chart at astro-seek.com or pull up free birth chart, right? If you don't know, anything about the zodiac or you're new to this type of work, right? Another thing that I want to say is when you are doing this type of work, and I have been irresponsible in the past, right? Introducing people to high-level metaphysics, aka occultism, African spiritual technology, aka occultism, by not telling people to protect themselves. When you come into this type of work, when you're dealing with this type of indigenous magic that we're dealing with, right, that I teach, right, because that's what this is about. It's tapping into our ancestors' ancient frequency, ancient sounds, ancient techniques for manipulating reality. Magic, M-A-G-I-C-K, M-O-U-S-E. Magic is about manipulating, M, and A, guiding, G, intention, I, caused, I, knowingly, meaning you know that you're manipulating reality in your favor in some way, shape, or form. They have what they call white magic and dark magic. I don't call it black magic because we call ourselves black people. So it doesn't make sense to associate yourself with something black. So I reject black magic wholeheartedly. I hope you do too. Let's go to the next slide. All right. So this is the basics of Cancer, but we're going to go into more signs and symbols. So the Cancer new moon, right, which we are still under, even though I'm late on this video. The new moon usually lasts for 3 days, but we are in Cancer season and we are in the waxing phase, meaning that the moonlight, as we continue to go from now into the full moon, which, when is the full moon? Well, I don't know. But when we go from now into the full moon, whenever that is and whatever sign that is in, right, we're going to see the moon more and more moonlight, right? You'll see the moon more and more illuminated, right? Which basically is giving the moon more and more power, okay? So a Cancer new moon, this is when the womb returns, all right? This is the gut, all right? In your gut, you have what they call, and I'm going to tell you another story, right? Been getting a lot of spiritual insight lately. A lot of things have been happening to me. We'll talk about it, right? Not necessarily this video, right? But we'll talk about it different chambers, right? Working some things out, but you'll know. But I got a download tonight before I did this video. I was going to go in the shower, right? And get things together, fix things up. So I get a prompting, right? Like a chat GPT from the astral realm. I get a prompting, and the prompting tells me, don't go in the shower. Go down the block and get a Guinness. And I'm like, go down to the block and get a Guinness for what? Like, I gotta get this. I already missed the video yesterday because of the power outage. Now you want me to be late again and miss another video? Like, what's going on, Spirit? Like, what's going on? What you trying to do to me? You trying to ruin me, right? I'm trying to get back on this bike, get this motion going again, right? I gotta return to my people, right? We got world wars. World wars might be popping off, right? I gotta shine some light to my people, right? I gotta return like Jesus when the whole world needs us, right? Using hyperbole. I'm not saying I'm Jesus, right? But I get this prompting. I go to the store. I get the Guinness, right? So I'm about to get the Guinness, walk home. Spirit's like, no, you're going to sit down, drink the Guinness, okay? So I sit down outside the store. There's a little not a bench, but I sit down, right? And everybody that's walking by me is either high as fuck, higher than 4 kites with rockets attached to them, blasted high, right? To where they're wobbly and, on that dope, that doogie. They on that doogie for real, right? If you watch Godfather Harlem, you know what they're talking about. They on that doogie, right? And there's people, and this is everybody, not one person is not. Oh, everybody that's passing me, right? They're higher than 3 kites with rockets on them. They are about to get high. People are rolling up while they're walking on the street, right? Or the people are already smoking weed while they're walking down the block. Now, I live in New York City. Marijuana is legal, right? So everybody's either high, this is tonight, right? Everybody's either high, about to get high, or working on getting high, right? There is a pull, natural pull in the air, right? For you to want to go within, right? This is natural feminine energy for you to want to go within the womb or the gut area, right? Go into your internal self, go past the surface of things, look within with what's going on, and in particularly tack into your feelings, because the womb, right, is where birth happens, but it happens in silence. Nobody's ever seen a baby really, unless you have, some sort of microscopic instrument or some sort of, I don't know what you would call it, but where you could constantly, you're studying a mother and you're watching the baby gestate, or the seed gestate into a baby, right, over time. But normally you don't see it, right? The belly is hiding the birth, right? But after 9 months or, within that time window, there's going to be a baby coming out, right? But it's hidden, it's unseen, right? This is real spiritual work. Real spiritual work starts inside out, right? You got to go in to get out. You got to go within to get out of whatever problem that you have, whatever issue that you have, whatever issue that you have to fix. It starts within. I don't care how many crystals you buy. I don't care how many candles you buy. I don't care how many roots you work, right? I don't care how many retreats you go on. I don't care how many people you know. I don't care how many influences you follow and how great and articulate they are, even myself, right? You still have to go do the internal work. This would be shadow work, right, on some levels, but this particular work's not necessarily like scorpionic shadow work where you're doing super deep diving. This is more so emotional management, right? Managing, and your emotions start from your root chakra, right? Which is for security and stability. First and foremost, when you go outside and when you're moving, right, you want to be secure. You want to be stable, right? You keep your doors locked, right? You keep your gates closed, right? And hopefully you have a fence or some type of apparatus to keep you away from common ghetto trash, all right? You want to keep yourself away from common ghetto trash as much as possible. And common ghetto trash comes in all races, colors, and shapes and sizes. Don't let them fool you, all right? So the moon is sitting on the throne right now. Cancer is the sign of the moon, all right? So all things are born from water. And there was a fireball also shooting over East Georgia, which kind of delayed me. I was supposed to do this at midnight, but I got that news and I want to look into it a little bit. We're going to talk about that towards the end of the video, right? But all things are born from water, all right? A little quick key, and we'll get to the next slide. The sound Om. You've seen the Buddhists and the Hinduists, they'll chant Om, 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 Om. What that sound does, right, is it vibrates the waters in your body. You do it yourself, right? Do it yourself at least 3 to 4 times. You'll feel the water, which is the blood in your body, which is the water and all the other biochemicals that are circulating and swimming through your veins and your nervous system, right? You will feel that water move. And then what they usually do is after that, they'll have a mantra, right? Om this or Om that, right? Or whatever deity is governing or energy or archetype is governing whatever, again, they're trying to work on or manifest, right? But this vibration is, again, to stir the waters. Sometimes the waters get stirred up by using 50 Cent again, right? You're getting shot 9 times. right? You're going through some tragedy. You're going through some hardship, right? And it triggers something in you that says you might lose your job, right? You might lose a relationship. You might have to move. You might have, something destroyed, right? You might get into some sort of whatever, right? You need to find solutions to these problems. And this is what really the spiritual work is about. It's not about being the smartest, most intellectual person in the world and having the most book knowledge and being able to recite it as well as a Dr. Umar or whatever, right? It's about you being able to apply these things to your life to solve your problems and to enhance yourself so you could be the best version of yourself, period. Everything else is uncivilized. Okay, so let's continue. And now that I can see you guys, on the screen. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. All right, to ask me. Let me do this. Okay. All right. Let's do this. So the Egyptian scarab, right? Cancer is also, or was originally, before it was a crab created by the Europeans, the indigenous melanated ancestors of Kemet, the Cometian ancestors, they visualized this as the scarab, right? Or the dung beetle, right? This is where the crab came from, right? Because we want to know the real origin stories of these mythologies, right? Which astrology deals with, it's archetypes, right? Or a mythology, right? So, and even you're a living myth, but we'll get into that in another video. But the scarab, right? So the Egyptian scarab, dung beetle, is one of Cancer's most sacred symbols. It rolls the weight of the world like a mother carries her family, or an elder carries the past. All right. This is divine labor. This is ancestral devotion. Cancer teaches us that home is a sacred responsibility, not a place. Just like the scarab. Okay. Just like the scarab. What is I saying? I don't know. I got something on my screen. I can't even see it. Hold on. Let's say its agenda is to put greatness forward, even when it's heavier than you. So if you ever see a scarab, right? If you look at a video of a scarab, you will see a scarab with this big ball of shit, right? Or AKA dung, right? And what it does is the dung beetle, it moves according to the light of the sun during the day. Also, as the sun goes from east, rises in the east and goes towards the west, that's how the beetle actually moves. And what it does, as it moves, it's carrying this dung, right? And it's putting seeds in it, right? Seeds in it. And these seeds, now it brings back to the family to eat, right? So that's how the family eats. So it's about home, right? And it's about, again, carrying the weight of the world. This is what mothers do, right? We've seen mothers take care of families, single mothers, right? Doing all that they have to do. Some of us were raised by single mothers, right? We've seen the hardships that they've gone through, right? We've seen how hard it is. Some of you may be single mothers right now. You are a scarab, right? You're taking care of your family and you're going through shit to do so, right? And this shit is heavy, carrying a family. It's heavy. There's some single mothers out here with 6, 7, 8 kids, right? That's doing it all by themselves, right? Shout out to them. And no matter how many children you have, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's hard. It's hard being a single parent, right? Luckily I was there for both of my children during the first years of their lives, and things happened, right, for both of my daughters, all 3 of them. But, that's not the case for everyone. And it's very, 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 very difficult having a child, especially an infant, and you don't have a support system and you're by yourself. It feels heavy. It feels like there's a whole bunch of shit about all going on. But as we know, because we are resilient, we know that there are people who we know that there are people who do this well, right? We know that there's been single mothers who've birthed great men, powerful women, right? Great families, right? Legacy families, right? Based on just a single mother. It does happen, right? This is not the ideal thing, right? But this is what happens. So this also represents uh, the the uh, uh, the taking care of the family, but it's, as it says, it's ancestral devotion, right? Cancer teaches us that home is not a sacred. Home is a sacred responsibility, not a place. So the real home is within you, your subconscious, right? Your subconscious mind, right? The watery part of you, the rest and digest part of you, the paranormal part of you, right? Or your parasympathetic nervous system versus your sympathetic nervous system, which has you in fight or flight. All right. Now, a lot of times due to and this is also a family. Scarab is also not only the mother, right? But it's also a family symbol, right? The crab and the scarab carries the home on their back, right? When a crab is moving or a scarab is moving, their home, they just put their motherfucking legs in, right? Or you see a crab tucks himself in. So the crab is carrying their home on their back, the same way the scarab is carrying the shit for their home or the dung for their home on their back. So you're born to push greatness forward, but you got to move with the light of the sun. You got to move with the light of truth. You got to move with the light of your divinity. You got to move with the light of knowing that you are a divine being and you are a God here on earth, encased in flesh, that is going through a hero's journey so you can expose your greatness, your nobility, your powers, right? And live your purpose, and then go on to the next journey at the most highest vibration, right? You want to leave here at the most highest vibration. And this is when you are carrying your shit, right? You are not settling for mediocrity. You are not stuck in a comfort zone, right? You are doing what you got to do. This is imagine waking up in the morning carrying something so heavy, right, to feed your family every single day. It's a responsibility. There's discipline with that, right? There's no days off. And this is the same way we have to be on our spiritual journey. We have to have practices that allow us to make carrying the shit of life, the stress of, are we going to get bombed in World War III? The stress of, is somebody going to, is somebody going to harm us in the street? The stress of, the relationships that may not be working, the stress of the job that may not be working, the stress of XYZ, you name it. You know what issues you may or may not have, right? It's about being able to carry these things with power, with spiritual power, with inner power, right? Moving toward the light, right? Of which light is knowledge, light is information, right? But light is also wisdom, all right? So let's continue going. So Cancer is the cosmic mother, ruler of memory, emotion, and the ancestral home. So here you're asked to feel so you could heal. So Cancer is about feelings, emotions. Whenever you see water in a movie or a film, that's always dealing with emotions. So a lot of times the most emotional part in the movie, you'll see rain, right? Or you'll see them by the water, right? Also in your real life, going by water, rivers, let's say even like the Mississippi, right? The Mississippi is a ley line river, meaning that there's a lot of cosmic energies, considered serpentine energy in that river. So that river has a lot of mystical properties just by going around it. And there's a lot of rivers out there that are like that. There's a lot of waterways out there that are portals for change and transformation. But all that is mirroring the inner waters that are within you that you could stir within yourself if you don't have access to a river, stream, water, whatever. You okay? So it says here you're asked to feel so you could heal, not to fix the past, but to remember who you were before the wound. All right? Not a sign of weakness, but a sign of wisdom. So it's about healing from the past, right? But using your emotions to do so. The one thing they always say about melanated beings is that we are people that cannot regulate our emotions. We don't know how to handle our emotions. You may have heard that, right? Black people are emotionally unintelligent. Okay? They don't know, you say something to somebody, they quick to pop off. They quick to, act up. They on demon time, right? These are all byproducts of us being in a culture that not only promotes fear, but keeps you in a constant state of fight or flight. If you grew up in the ghetto, if you grew up in the trailer parks, if you grew up in places that are poverty ridden, or if you grew up in a family that did not help nurture you, right? You have wounds. You have deep wounds. You have emotional ties to these wounds, right? But there's a major key to this. And one of the major keys is that even those things are not who you are. And you may say, well, these things happened to me. Yeah, they did happen to you, but it's how you frame them that matters. It's what you do with this energy that matters. All right. It's how you reframe this in your subconscious mind. This is why meditation is important. This is why meditation is also considered moonlight, right? You're going within yourself, right? You're going within your inner self and you're tapping in. And when you're tapping in, now you could look at that wound that haunts you during your daydreams at work and you're thinking about, man, that bitch was in my bed. You know, the story I told you, that bitch was in my bed and she got another nigga calling her, right? But that wound, instead of me dealing with it because I've been doing so much inner work, it's like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Be gone. No, you know, as the Caribbean people say, water upon duck's back. You know what I'm saying? Water on duck's back. It ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because of the work that I've done over the past, now maybe 3-4 years, this would have devastated me, right? This would have put me in a spiraling depression. I'll be smoking a whole lot of weed. I'll be in hermit mode for a month or two, right? But because I've been doing a lot of work, right? This other wound ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that there's greater to come. And this was just something that had to happen. So this situation, I could reframe this and I could still even be cool with the girl. It's not like, you know, you ain't no enemy. You know what I'm saying? We had something happen. Cool. You know what I'm saying? You ain't stealing nothing from me. You ain't hurt me. All right. I caught you doing some duplicitous shit. Keep it moving. I'll keep it moving. If I see you in the street, I'll say hi and bye. No hard feelings. For real, for real. Because it's about being as light as a feather. That's really the goal, to be have your heart, your emotions as light as a feather, and to focus on what you can control. I cannot control that chick, right? I can't control what she does, but I can control my response. I can't control what happens in my job, but I can control my response to it. I can't control what happens in Iran, but I can control my response to it. I can't control what's happening in Ukraine, which people somehow forgot about. It was such a big deal. People have flags on their profile, but I can control my response to it, right? So it's about focusing on what you could control and remembering who you were before this wound and reframing the emotional picture. Don't worry. I'm going to show you how to do it. All right. I'm going to show you just how to do it and the things that help me. So channeling the womb, all right? Cancer rules the stomach, breast, and womb. This is not just digestion, it's divine reception, all right? To feel is to receive. To receive is to gestate, all right? To gestate is to birth. Your emotions are spiritual pregnancy. What are you nourishing in your belly? So a lot of people come into this sort of esoteric studies, right? African spiritual technology, what the Europeans call occultism. And what they tell you is that, you know, you come into this and you're trying to learn everything, right? And I've went through that, right? You want to learn all the secrets of the universe. You're into New Age philosophy. You're learning about the Palladians. You're learning about the Arcturians, right? You might read some Dr. York manuals and you think Earth's planet Chi, and you know what I'm saying? There's 4 suns and 7 moons and the Earth is flat and whatever, right? Look, you believe what you want to believe, right? But the thing is, what are you nurturing in your belly? What are you gestating? What type of energy are you gestating? Because a lot of times learning all the secrets of the universe is really kind of escapism, right? Especially if the secrets of the universe are not helping you become better in your life. It's not helping you with your career. It's not helping you with your business, your entrepreneurships. It's not helping you in your relationships. It's not helping you when you're dealing with people in general. It's not helping enhance your intuition. It's not helping enhance your extrasensory perception. It's not helping you enhance your clairvoyance. It's not helping you enhance any type of remote viewing abilities. It's not helping you enhance your clairaudience, right? You guys get where I'm going, right? Peace to doing her thing, though. You guys get where I'm going, right? Do these things, what are you really nurturing in your belly? Are you watching? You know what I'm saying? This cancer, again, it's the rules of stomach, the breast and the womb, right? As I was outside and all these people were getting high. One of the dudes that was trippy, right? Higher than 7 kites with 12 rockets on him. One of the things he was saying while he was walking by, and he was walking by like this, right? This is how high he was. He was walking by like this, Hispanic dude. And he walked by me, and guess what he said? He goes, and again, I'm about to do this video, right? He goes, there's 7 chakras. May Allah, God, and baby Jesus with his sandals and whoever the Jews pray to strike me down from line. He said there's 7 chakras, but there's one in the belly. And he said, there's one in the belly. And as he walked by, and that's it, he didn't say nothing else. He just was in his little trip, right? So he's downloading some shit that he don't even understand, right? He's downloading some shit that he may not even understand in this stupor, but he is still going within, right? It's still a tapping in. And it's a tapping in maybe using herbs, right? Marijuana or whatever drug he was using, right? It's an artificial tap in. It's not really you nurturing something for real, but we do use certain pharmacopoeia we have used these pharmacopoeias in ritual states. And this is really what it's supposed to come back to instead of using it recreationally or for forms of escape, right? But for ritual purposes. Imagine every time you smoked a blunt or light a joint, right? You had some sort of goal with that, right? You had some sort of visualization. So when I'm going to smoke this blunt, I'm going to go back. I'm going to sit, smoke this blunt. I'm going to sit, maybe listen to some binaural beats, 532 hertz, something like that, 963 hertz. And I'm going to go back to use one of my shits. I'm going to go back to when I was in the store, right? And my mom told me, and my mom picked the ugly ass shirt that I didn't like, right? And she wanted to buy for me when I was a little kid. And I was like, nah, I don't like it. And she was like, yo, if you don't like this, and this is a true story. If you don't get this shirt, I ain't buying you nothing else, right? Now, this is probably when I was like 6 or 7, right? And I got to go back and reframe that story. So I got to go back and tell right? And this may sound like I'm making up stuff, but guess what? You make up stuff every day. You create realities in your head every day. What happens if Iran comes? Am I going to get blown up? What's going to happen to me and my family? What am I going to do? Do I have a go bag, right? A lot of times what they say, you take 60,000 negative thoughts a day, most people. You give birth to certain realities in your head that are negative every day. So why not give birth to realities that'll serve you? Why not use your emotions to serve you? So I go back into that memory, right, while I'm high. And I'm not saying you have to do this, because the best way to do it is through breath work, through meditation. Spirit means breath. Air means breath. Air is breath, and air is spirit means breath, the etymology of the word spirit. So when you're breathing, you're actually taking in spirit. In the movie Wakanda Forever, towards the end, this is when Ramona, well, not Ramona, because she was dead by then, but yeah, Ramona, because she was remembering. The grandmother was telling Shuri that this is how you listen to your ancestors. You listen to your ancestors in the wind. Marcus Garvey had a famous quote where he said, "Catch me in the whirlwind," right? If I pass away, catch me in the whirlwind. So, like doing her thing, though, says, spirit speaks. Spirit speaks, right? So, if we were using these things, these herbs and these pharmacopoeias in ritual spaces, we would actually benefit more. But because we are in this society that is unnatural, we're doing unnatural things to ourselves, right? But this is how we reverse this, right? And this is how we step in. So it's about tapping into this divine reception so we can activate our natural superpowers, right? So also Yemaya is Cancer, all right? In its essence, the meaning of Yemaya is found in her profound symbolism of the divine feminine, her ability to heal and nurture, and her representation of the deep, intuitive mysteries of the ocean and the human psyche. What's up, Ezekiel? Her worship is a path to connecting with these energies and fostering inner harmony and resistance. Cancer is the ultimate water sign. All right. So Yamayas are part of the usually the indigenous diasporic pantheon. So African, Eastern, you know what I'm saying? Even when we dealing with Haitians and voodoo, right? Yamaya or even Osset, right? It's dealing with that, and it's about tapping into our intuition. But the way we tap into our intuition is we have to heal our emotions. How are you going to get intuitive downloads if you got 20, 30, 40 years of shit in your head that's replaying every single day? And not only replaying, you may be numbing yourself by listening to speakers all day, by listening to influencers all day, by listening to other people at work, by listening to friends, by listening to family members. Some of you go to sleep with things on, right? TV and, you know, different things on, right? Which are programming, because even though you think you're asleep, the mind is always listening. It's always receiving. So you have to be very careful, especially nowadays, right? Imagine falling asleep like on CNN or Fox News or CNBC during these times. You're going to wake up stressed the fuck out. You're going to wake up in a bad mood and not know why. You may have had the best sex with your boo that night and you don't know why you're in a bad mood. But it's because of all the things you've been taking in, right? So connecting with these energies is really what Yemaya is about. It's not about, you know, being quote unquote a divine feminine, right? It's about tapping into that divine feminine, which by nature is hidden, right? It's hidden. It's a woman that is wise, right? There's not much, if she's really wise and moving, right? She's very internalized, meaning there's a lot of times that she will keep things to herself, right? Women groups, right? You see a lot of women groups, women only retreats, right? You don't see these things often with men, right? Men kind of move individualistic. Women usually move in collectives, right? They nest. For instance, you'll see 6, 7 women in a room getting prepared for some sort of event, and they all naked, doing each other's hair, putting in earrings, strapping on jewelry, right? Helping put on Spanx, you know what I'm saying? Whatever other body enhancements that they may use, right? No hate, right? Doing hair, things like that. And it might be 7, 8 of them. You're not really going to see a man do that unless, you know, we might help each other tie a tie or something like that. Or be like, all right, that looks good, champ. But you ain't going to see us all naked together, you know what I'm saying? Unless, you know, you on that other side of the sexual spectrum, you know what I'm saying? No judgment. It is what it is. But that's not something that men do. Women usually are more holistic, which men are more individualistic. Or masculine energy is more individualistic. Feminine energy is more holistic. None is better than the other. They're just different expressions of energy. All right. So numerology, number 4, all right, is the number of Cancer. So Cancer is the 4th zodiac sign. And numerology, 4 is foundation, home, structure, roots. Building a new inner home. Anchoring your emotions in divine order. All right. And what we have is we're going to have the Fantastic Four movie coming next, all right? It's already been confirmed in this Fantastic Four movie that Sue Storm is basically going to be the main focus, right? She's going to be giving birth, all right? Cancerian energy, the womb, birth, right? She's going to be giving birth to something new, right? Emotional energy. Also, in this movie, they're preparing for Avengers Doomsday. So they're going to be changing homes, right? So again, it says cancel the fourth sign. Numerology 4, foundation, home, structure, roots, building a new inner home, anchoring your emotions in divine order. All right. Marvel always does this. They always deal with archetypes, right? Because all mythology deals with archetypes. And ultimately, all mythology is spiritual in nature, right? It's just what side of the force. Are you on the Darth Vader side of the force or on the Luke Skywalker side of the force, right? The force doesn't matter. The force is here. The force is what you would call Ashe, right? The force is here. It's just what. So that's why when people like, black white magic, or dark or dark or white, dark or light magic, right? It's up to you. It's how you choose to use the element, right? I can use a gun to shoot an intruder. I can use a gun to do a mass shooting, right? It's all how you use what you have. So this is a time where it's about setting up your emotional foundation, right? Having emotional intelligence. In the first song that I played, one of my verses is emotional intelligence is energy intelligence. The wise use the mind to align with the elements, right? So we want to align with nature, right? Nature is what really is our home, right? We're natural beings. We have natural intelligence, right? In a world where artificial intelligence seems to be rising, right? It seems like we're going into Skynet, right? And the more we go into a technological age, because these are the inorganic people, shout out to Ralph Smart, right? The inorganic ones, this is what they want. They don't want you to develop your own mind. They don't want you to develop critical thinking, right? I'm going to say this too, no disrespect, but AI cannot access the Akashic records at all. AI cannot access the motherfucking Akashic records, okay? Stop falling for that bullshit, all right? What they're doing is, whoever this person is or these people are, they're prompting AI to pull up New Age philosophy, which is not indigenous philosophy, this New Age philosophy that's going around where people are latching on to, that has no basis in anything. It's not going to help you with nothing. It's just going to keep you spiraling around and keep you back in fight or flight and in fear. It's not helping you, again, build better relationships, make more money, become more healthier, gain spiritual abilities. This is what I'm here to teach. I'm here to restore, right? I'm here to help raise the vibration of the planet, but I'm also here to restore my ancestors' indigenous teachings, right? And show you what was stolen, right? So you could utilize this for your benefit. It's about creating a new home and a new foundation. And we need this now more than ever, as more and more fears come, as people are more and more nervous, as the foundations of things are cracking, okay? A lot of job losses happening, right? A lot of relationship losses happening. A lot of people are moving from one place to another place, right? A lot of people are realizing that their emotions are triggering them because the divine feminine as a whole is rising, all right? Let's continue going. So the chakra connections, solar plexus and sacral. Cancer rules the stomach and breast. Linking the solar plexus, will, okay? What your intentions are, what you want to do, right? And the energy needed to do it. And sacral, emotions, all right? You need emotional power. A lot of times you have a desire to do something. You have a desire to quit something. I need to quit sleeping with Sheila, right? Sheila's got some good fire vagina. Fire. I mean, fire. I mean, right? But she's toxic. She's not growing. She's comfortable. She's stuck in a comfort zone. She might have some ratchet tendencies, but be beautiful, right? She might have some toxicity depending on the things that she eats, right? And you could use this for men either, but I'm coming from a male to female perspective, right? So you need to know that this is a person that is not aligned where you want to go, right? But you have attachments to them, you know? So your will, and this goes with anything, you know what I'm saying? You could even use this with food, right? You want to lose weight, right? But at every night at 10 o'clock, this craving for food comes, right? Because you usually eat at 10 p.m., right? Let's just say hypothetically, right? So this craving, because your body goes on rhythm, right? Rhythm that you program, by the way. You know what I'm saying? If you wake up, let's say you pee every day at like 7 a.m. You wake up at 7 a.m. and pee. You're going to wake up at 7 a.m. and pee until you resist that urge to pee, right? And push it back to 9 a.m. or whatever, right? You're going to, your body is rhythmic, right? It goes according to rhythms that you program. Of course, natural rhythms that you go to sleep with, but it goes according to rhythms that you program over time. But you need energy. You need emotional. You need emotion, energy and motion. You need kundalini. You need chi. You need ra, which is light, right? Power. You need prana. Breathing in that good ass prana, baby. Shout out to Ralph Smart. You need those. You need that element, right? The Shekinah, which we'll talk about soon. You need power to do so. And how do you get that power? That is your emotions. It's you mastering your emotions. All right. So to heal your home, which is you, right? And those that you surround yourself, you must heal your center. Ask, do I feel emotionally safe in my own body? Right? If not, this moon is your rebirth moment. Sidebar, I know a lot of women who have high anxiety. And I was thinking about this kind of last night when the power was out, right? And I knew I had to do this video. And I was like, asking spirit, like, why? And, a lot of it is, I've said this before, but it's because a lot of times there's no man to say everything's all right. You see, this new masculine is a little different than my era, of masculine. I grew up primarily, the 90s was my legendary era. But this new type of masculine, this soft life type of masculine, you know what I'm saying? It's a different type of energy, but that's because there's a rise of the divine feminine energy, right? There's a rise of that energy. And, it's, and sometimes I blame Drake too. I blame Drake sometimes for, the way dudes are nowadays, the young men, some of them, you know what I'm saying? But you also have the misguided warriors and things like that. But ultimately, it's like, if you're with a woman, right? And she's stressed out over the war, right? Conflict. Well, she heard about the fireball, which we'll talk about later, that streaked across Georgia, and she heard the boom, right? And, she's worried that it was I can't imagine with all that's going on, and you hear a boom, it didn't happen in New York, but you hear a boom and the ground shaking, you might think it's a nuke or a bomb or something like that, right? You got to be the one as the man to tell your woman everything's going to be okay. You got to be the man that even if you don't think everything's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. Even if you think shit's going to fall apart, you got to tell her, nah, we going to make it. And you really got to mean it, right? Now, at first, you may not mean it, right? In your heart, you may be nervous, right? You may be shook. But to her, you better make sure she means it. Because guess what? There's another nigga that's going to make sure that she knows she's safe and secure, right? So a lot of times these high anxieties are for women who have childhood trauma, and with men it's a little different. With men there's always a threat of violence with men. So men, we grow up knowing that there's a threat of violence. So our emotional intelligence is like, okay, we're going to deal with men in a different way. But women, they're not physically strong like men. So there's a lot more trauma and hardship that they can go through. So they're emotional, right? They're naturally more emotional, right? And I'm not saying men aren't emotional either, but I'm saying naturally, nature-based, right? Naturally, they're more emotional. That is a woman's superpower, her ability to manipulate emotions. Even if a woman is dressing a certain way, right? I was out with somebody and we were looking at this woman in Harlem, beautiful, dark-skinned sister, man. She had on a nice white dress, flowing, beautiful, man. Everybody was complimenting her, even myself, right? Because everything was well put together, right? She was stirring an emotion. She was stirring a feeling of beauty, right? Beauty, the word God, G-O-D, from how I learned it before C. Freeman L. said God is generator, operator, and destroyer. I learned it as God is Gumar Az Dubar, which is wisdom, strength, and beauty from the 5% nation, right? So God is as an element of beauty to a divine being. There's an element of non-dustiness to a divine being. There's a glow about you when you are truly doing your work. When you are truly doing this work and you're dedicated to it day in and day out, there's a certain shine that you're going to have about you. There's a certain glow that you're going to have about you. A lot of times there's a glow, and I could be long-winded, so I'm going to stop this with this example. But, a lot of times when people come home from prison, what do they say? This guy got the glow, right? Well, why? Because he's been upstate or wherever, the county or whatever. He hasn't been taking drugs as much as he may have been in the free world. He might have been eating better than he did in the free world, right? He might be working out more than he did in the free world. He got time, so he might be reading books more than he did in the free world, right? So his emotional intelligence is different, right? He's undergoing neuroplasticity behind the wall, right? Which is changing him or her, right? So they come home with that glow, all right? So this moon, again, is your rebirth moment. Let's continue. Tarot connection. So the Cancer's tarot card is the Chariot. The Chariot deals with spiritual victory, emotional willpower, and soul alignment. It teaches us how to drive the vehicle of our life with both discipline and intuition. If you are on this path of esoteric spiritual knowledge, and you don't have discipline, you're going to fuck yourself up. Right? I don't know how else to tell you. There's really no nice way to say it. You have to have systems in place. Okay. Cancer is the number 4. The 4 is a foundation, right? Four corners, right? 4 corners of the earth, 4 corners to a square, right? It's a foundational piece. So your emotions are foundational to you. Your energy, emotion is foundation to you. How you feel about things is foundational to you. All right. So you have to discipline your emotions. You cannot be reactive to every single things that happen. But again, we are in fight or flight environments. If you're watching the news every day, you're in a fight or flight. You're in a fight or flight environment, and you're inviting that, right? It's like sinners, right? When you turn on that news, and I'm not saying don't watch the news or whatever, do what you want, but be careful of your consumption and look at the news as entertainment. Don't look at it as it's real, because it's really not. Most of the news is propaganda. Most is basically propaganda. It's designed to put you in a state of fear. America sells fear. America sells fight or flight. America sells anxiety. America sells putting your nervous system in a disruptive state. Why? Because it fuels the Food and Drug Administration, right? It's called the FDA, Food and Drug Administration. It fuels the healthcare system, right? That we know what it does to melanated beings already, to pregnant women, right? Et cetera, et cetera. These institutions, these capitalistic institutions are fueled, right? Poverty fuels, all right, capitalism. If you are do you know that if you are in a poverty stricken neighborhood and there's a gas station in that neighborhood, you will pay more for gas. You will pay more for groceries. But if you are in the suburbs, right, or a more affluent neighborhood, you're going to pay less for gas. You're going to pay less for groceries. Well, if we're speaking in justice, shouldn't it be the other way around? Right? So there is a reason that all this fear. I've been through all the wars, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a man of a certain age. I don't look it, but I'm a man of a certain age. I've been through all the wars. Wars. I've heard it all. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. 2020, Y2K. 2012, the world's going to end. 2008, everything's going to crash with the housing thing, right? 2020, this is going to happen, right? I've heard it all. I've heard it all. War in Iraq, war there, war in Ukraine, right? All the wars. We still here. We still standing. And the rent is still due. Your kid's still going to need school clothes in August. You're still going to have to pay your car note. You're still going to have to pay your taxes on your property. None of that is changing. You're still going to have to take care of your health. You're still going to want the best for yourself, your family, and those close to you. You're still going to want to tap into your magic and become more powerful. You're still going to want to know things and see beneath the veil of things. So this new moon is your permission to move forward, emotionally intelligent and spiritually armored. If you look at this particular picture, this chariot, right? This chariot, the lions are not moving. Okay, the lions are seated. It's a black and white lion representing the yin and yang, because it's about the power of your emotions making things happen. What do you think lighting candles and burning herbs are for? You're creating an energetic portal for your manifestation to affect whatever you're trying to get, the money you're trying to get, the love you're trying to get, the health situation you're trying to fix, the legal situation you're trying to fix, or whatever you're trying to do. Having an altar, lighting candles, putting water in cups on your boveda, whatever it is, it's all about creating an energetic, emotionally charged portal, energy and motion, to make sure things manifest. Magic is all about the hidden. The occult word occult means hidden, right? So it's feminine by nature. All right. Again, you don't see the baby in the womb gestating, but you do see the baby when it's coming out, right? And that's a masculine force when the baby's coming out. So we need to be spiritually armored, and that is by us learning to manage our emotions. And by managing our emotions is to move like the kings and queens and the gods and the goddesses that we are. All right. And stop falling for the bullshit. Stop thinking that the worst is going to happen. But the only way you're going to do that is by training, discipline. You're going to have to. I used to be, and I've said this in many videos, I used to be the most negative person you know, the most pessimistic person you know. Everything was going bad. Everything was going to be wrong. I grew up in a household where my mom played the news, 1010 Wins in New York City, if you know, right? She had that shit playing when I woke up in the morning till when it was time for her to go to bed. All day the news would be playing. And my mom is a very negative person. She's gotten better over the years where our relationship is strengthening, right? But she's still a person who will regurgitate news fears to you 24/7. There's certain things she won't. She's stuck in a certain era, right? And she's a devout Jehovah's Witness, right? Devout, right? But the reason that she's still stuck is because she has not healed her nervous system. She has not healed her fight or flight matrix. And a lot of us are caught in my childhood created a fight or flight matrix. I was always nervous. I was always fight or flight. I was always thinking, okay, this bad thing is going to happen. This bad thing was going to happen. And guess what? The bad things were happening because my emotions, right? Because you are alter. You alter things. You have an electromagnetic field, right? An emotional field, basically. It's what electromagnetism is. It stirs your emotions, right? This is why when it's summertime, you feel better, because the sun is electromagnetic, right? This is why when there's a full moon, you feel that heightened energy, because the moon is electromagnetic when it's full, right? And the moon is electromagnetic also, or more electromagnetic, I should say, when it's new, right? So this is why when I went outside, I saw everybody getting high, because they're feeling the energy, whether they know it or not, whether they're in the studies or not, all right? So this is some things are showing you the rise of divine feminine in real time, all right? WNBA. And again, these are signs and symbols and archetypes. We don't ever want to look at these things as gender, right? We don't want to look at this as like a gender war thing, right? There's a lot of people in the spiritual community that are very wise, right? Very smart, know their stuff, right? Very articulate, great communicators, right? But they have biases, and you'll easily see it over time. They will tell you their biases, right? You can't do live streams and do these videos over time without really feeling who you truly are. It just is what it is. You're going to say some shit on these videos that's going to reveal your truth, and people will know who you are. Spirit will make you do it, right? You know, whether it's a negative thing or a positive thing, right? So a lot of motherfuckers be gender warring behind the scenes, talking about this is this, and men are this, or women are this, or men are, you know, and I see it. And these are people that got big platforms, some medium platforms, whatever, right? Small platforms, whatever. But they still are gender warring. This is not what a divine being does. A divine being, again, is dealing with the chariot. You know what I'm saying? We're dealing with both sides of the force, the yin and the yang, right? The left brain and the right brain, the masculine and the feminine, the Ida, the Pingala, right? And the Shishuma, right? We are tapping in to who and what we are holistically, right? We don't want to just partition ourselves and segregate ourselves. It's also with this chosen one bullshit, right? Ain't nobody chosen. You choose yourself, right? Ain't nobody come here just chosen. You choose yourself. And how you know, and people be talking about they chosen, you're 21, 22, 23, 31, 32. How you know at 60, 70, you're not going to go back to church? You know how many people I've seen leave this lifestyle and go right back to the church? Again, there's nothing wrong with that. I always tell y'all, go back to the church. I ain't here to, you know what I'm saying, convince you to follow me. I don't want no followers, right? I'm here to show you and tell you who the fuck you really are. I'm here to tell you what your roots really are. And I'm here to tell you that you have value being a melanated being or any type of spiritual being, right? If you tap into your roots. If you're Caucasian, you should be fucking with, you know what I'm saying, the runes and Norse mythology and things like that. If you're Hispanic, you should be tapping into the, the esoterics, the Lucamede, Santeria. If you're melanated, you should be learning about, these different Yoruba, Voodoo. If you're American hoodoo, right? There's spiritual systems for everyone. There's roots, or learn about them all, right? But start with yours first. Start with yours first. Start with yours first. Fuck the Baphomet. Yeah, I said it. Fuck the Baphomet. I'm going to say it a third time for clarity. Fuck the Baphomet. And I respect Panic. I respect Bobby, right? But Baphomet comes from Kum, which I illustrated in another video. Baphomet comes from a deity called Banbijit, which is from the diaspora, from the African diaspora. So I don't want to mix and mingle my energy with people that may be milk-colored and evil, that may be using the Baphomet for some nefarious shit to shut down me and my people. And I'm using their deity that they're using, right? Because I got it from Aleister Crowley, the OTO, et cetera, when I got my own motherfucking deities. I got my own gods. This is what I'm here to do from here on out, right? So if you fuck with me, you follow me, this is what I'm here to present. So if you do like this information, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button, all right? So WNBA, Divine Feminine, record crowds, viewership, visibility. We are witnessing its rebirth into the public collective consciousness, all right? The Cancer Moon rules women, motherhood, nurturing, and collective emotion. These are not just games. This is the reclamation of space, court, and matriarchal power. In ancient times, women competed, danced, bled, and ruled in sacred space. The court is just another temple. All right, so when you see things like this, I was looking at the other day, there was, Prime has the games, sometimes the WNBA games. I don't really watch them all that much, you know what I'm saying? But I've watched every once in a while, I might watch, some of it, right? But I was looking at one game and I was like, damn, from when it first came, when I first started watching the Houston Comets back in the days with Cheryl Swoops in them, to it's like, okay, the crowds are looking like that again. Like there's a lot of women in those crowds supporting, which is what the WNBA was looking for. There's a lot of families in those crowds supporting, men too. A lot of men support too. You know what I'm saying? But there is a difference from what I see. It's not just the Caitlin Clark games, right? They do have record attendance, right? So again, this is just showing as above, so below, right? So when you see that feminine energy rising, you're going to see women rise as well. And when women rise, it's better because women are the matriarchs of the family, right? Men go out and get it and execute, but women usually have to plan. Women take care of the home. You know what I'm saying? When I've lived with women, I don't really care what, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you look at my shit now, like, it looks crazy. You know what I'm saying? When I was with a woman, my house didn't look so crazy, right? There was, women take care of the home, right? They're heavily invested in the home, how it looks, how it runs, right? Handling things behind the scenes. Again, hidden energy, right? not necessarily putting anything out there, right? So again, just more signs and symbols. We got Ironheart. When did Ironheart drop, y'all? All right. Ironheart dropped right on the Cancer new moon. A couple of days ago, Ironheart dropped right on the Cancer new moon. Same thing happened with Captain America. Captain America dropped, I forget what moon it was, but it was dealing with, Scorpio new moon, right? I believe it was Scorpio new moon, or full moon, something like that. But yeah, it was dealing with the Heru energy, right? So Marvel always does this. Whenever they drop their stuff, it's usually tied to some astrology. Ironheart is, if you look, I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched like part of the first episode, but I could kind of see where they're going, right? With merging magic, the hood, and tech. But basically, the story is she's from Chicago, and the villain is the hood, right? Literally, the name of the villain is the hood, right? And in this episode, like, somebody in her family gets shot. You know what I'm saying? So she's returning home from MIT and dealing with, she's trying to build this this Iron Man suit, but she doesn't have the money like Tony Stark's. So she needs to get the money, right? But what she doesn't realize, Ironheart, is that Tony Stark, when he built his suit, right, the first Iron Man suit, he was trapped. He wasn't using his resources. He was trapped, right? He made his first suit out of scrap metal and just started picking shit up and inventing, right? But he didn't have his $1 billion to use to create his suit, right? So she's under that perception, and she starts going into criminality, right? That's where I'm at now. I didn't finish it, so I'll go back into more decode. But again, Ironheart is also about the feminine hero's journey, but also, you know, you can mirror it with the masculine too, right? But it's about having an iron heart. It's about, you know, the real mythology is about being able to heal, right, your emotions, handle your emotions, right? And there's grief, which is another cancer archetype, if you will, or yeah, let's use archetype. That is grief is also part of cancer, right? Dealing with grief, handling grief, right? And in the show, Cree Summers from Different Worlds is in there. And one of the things she's like, black obsidian, right? Use black obsidian for grief. I didn't know that. I saw it. I looked it up. God damn it, she's right. I thought black obsidian was just for protection, right? So again, Marvel does this every once in a while, and they'll drop a jewel here and there if you're really listening and pay attention, right? If you're dealing with, as the Bible says, the single eye, right? So Christy Coventry, IOC, this is the International Olympic Committee, the first female president, right, just came out. The Indian women's cricket team arrives in England, all right? Apparently this Indian chick, I forgot her name right now. It's not important. Well, I'm not saying that, but I don't remember it. But she's like a big-time cricket player. Cricket is big in the Caribbean, right? So, you know, I know a little bit about cricket just from the brethrens that I'm around, right? But she's a big deal. And this women's team is shining, right? So her arriving in England and she's about to pass the torch to someone else. So again, that family type of dynamic, right? And the UAC sets gender equality milestone in MENA, so United Arabic Emirates, right? Dubai, things like that, right? Where they're basically raising up their women, right? So behind the scenes, the Arab world, the women are actually rising up. They passed the law 2024 where they were saying children as young as 9, women as young as 9 could get married, right? Now, obviously, that's not a great thing, right? Where some grown-ass man can marry a 9-year-old girl. What kind of bullshit is that, right? That's definitely not something that the gods would do. Stop a lot, right? But so what these things happen is these things cause women to push back. So now women are rising in these countries. This is the hidden war that they're not really telling you about. The real war is about the rise of occult, hidden feminine energy, the rise of the Stargate, which represents the womb, right? And when you see these women making these moves and coming into things of power, you have to realize that that's what's happening. And that's really the real war between American patriarchy, Israel, patriarchy, greed, right? Israel's a Taurus, so Taurus deals with values, comfort. Actually, let's go because I'm gonna keep talking. 13, emotional alchemy. All right, so water holds memory. Emotion is ancestral technology. The new moon says feel through it, don't fear it. That's how you transmute karma into light. Okay, so yes, it is a time to do some shadow work. Yes, it is a time to look at the things that you're scared of, especially and the same way in the Muslim world, right? In Iran and things like that, where they have passed this law last year, if the little girls as young as 9 could get married, right? That caused a pushback, right? So the feeling, right, that this was going to happen caused these normally, hijab women wearing no, mask over the face, 3/4 the cloth, never showing your stuff off, boo. Women in these Muslim countries rose up, defied the patriarchal masters. And there's nothing that's inherently wrong with patriarchy. Let me say that again. There's nothing inherently wrong with patriarchy. It's the shadow, the negative side of patriarchy, just like the negative side of matriarchy, which we'll get into as we go through this, right? Is a problem. It's not necessarily those two. It's the using those energies wrong, right? So for instance, I when there's an issue, right, with something happening, I've never seen a woman that didn't want me to use my patriarchy, right? That didn't want me to exert my masculine dominance in a situation where they felt threatened, right? You can't say you want, a man to be in touch with his feelings and emotions, but still not yet want him to exert his natural masculine testosterone-based assertion when necessary and needed, his defense, his protection, right? His provision, all those things, right? Even his prophecy and his planning, right? So you want to start looking at what's triggering you. Start with the motherfucking Iraq and Iran war, right? We're going to get into the all these wars, right? All these wars, right? We're going to get into the astrology behind them, but let's start really look at, right, why are you scared? What are you scared of? What are you really scared of? I'm not saying that everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody want to die, right? Everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody want to die. I get it, right? I have children I love. I got family I love. I have things I love to do. I love being alive, right? I wouldn't be trying to maximize and live the highest version of myself and try to study the secrets of the universe that would help me maximize my DNA mitochondria at its highest ability if I didn't want to live here on Earth, right? But if something does happen, I'm going to make sure while I'm on this path to be at the highest vibration possible, so that if something does happen, you know what I'm saying, I'll go into the ethers, and if some of my family members are still here, I could guide them from the other side, and I'll go on to the next phase of my journey as an enlightened being, right? As a high level archetype, right? As somebody could light candles to, my children, my people, my family could light candles to, and I'll help them, right? So the goal is to become as high vibrational as possible by going on your hero's journey, doing your best to follow your purpose, and fixing what's actually wrong with you instead of escaping your problems, right? Really feeling why you feel a certain way and transmuting that energy appropriately. So it says Cancer plus Jupiter, emotional expansion. Jupiter is currently transiting Cancer, amplifying its themes. This is not the time to suppress emotion. It's time to learn from it and channel it into expansion, creativity, and personal power. So this is what all that I've been talking about, all right? Jupiter went in Cancer, I believe, if I'm correct, June the 9th. And it's going to be there until next year, 2026, November, if I'm wrong, if I'm right. If I'm wrong, you could correct me in the comments. But Cancer and Jupiter, emotional expansion. That's what we on right now. And that's why everybody was getting high when I was outside, right? That's because everybody, their emotions are expanded. And you could either face it, face the world, right? Or you could try to retreat from it, right? And escape from it. But this is not the time to suppress it, right? And also when we're dealing with money, finance, abundance, right? And abundance isn't always money. It isn't always cash in your hand, although cash does help a lot, right? But the plug to get you the cash, right, is also a form of abundance. Somebody giving you the right herb or the right prescription or the right person to talk to get an opportunity, right, is also a form of abundance, right? Being protected, being able to avoid certain obstacles is also a form of abundance, right? So this is all Jupiter is about. Jupiter is the biggest planet in the solar system. Jupiter is about expansion. Jupiter is about growth. Jupiter also is about higher knowledge, right? Jupiter also is about Jupiter is also tied to Zeus, Jesus, Jupiter, Zeus, right? Jesus, Jupiter, Zeus, Jesus, Jupiter, Jesus, right? So that energy is at play, higher knowledge and all that. So this is the time for that. And the only way you're going to really master this is by emotional mastery. Let's continue. So emotional is intelligence. Your emotions are ancestral messages. They carry unspoken wisdom, body memory, and psychic guidance. Cancer teaches us to ignore your emotions is to dishonor your lineage. Your emotions, your feelings about these things are usually, not usually, they are tied to your intuition. All right. They're highly tied to your intuitive abilities, how you feel about things, what you pay attention to. When you pay, just like when you're going to the store, you pay for something, there is a charge. So whenever you pay attention to something, there is an electrical charge, energy in motion, electricity in motion, right? So when you pay, let's say you go to the store, right? You got a banana. You go pay for the banana, right? There's an energy exchange. You pay, you bring the banana, you want the banana, the cashier takes the cash, and now you have the banana is yours. There's an energy exchange, right? The same thing when you're watching something, the same thing when you're reading something, the same way when you're around somebody, right? There's always an energy exchange. So you have to really be careful with what you're engaging in, right? Because these things tied you to your emotion, they tied to your spiritual superpowers. So channel the energy. This Cancer new moon is not about being passive. It's about channeling your emotional waves into creative projects, healing rituals, family reconnection, financial reset. All right. Recently, like me and my mom, we're patching things up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? There is still a base of some trauma that happened. You know what I'm saying? So again, with this healing work, you're not gonna let someone all the way in without proving that they could be trusted, especially somebody who's hurt you multiple times in the past, as I have been by my mom, unfortunately, right? And you're gonna, so there's gonna be time, right? You need time to think. You need time to see how things are, but you also want to be yourself around whoever you're linking with, which is what I'm doing with my mom. I'm a man of a certain age now. You're not just gonna treat me like a child, right? And that foundation, that square, that four corners of my emotional intelligence is that, right? And it should be yours too, right? So you want to channel these things. Financial reset. Jupiter is in Cancer. Jupiter is in Cancer. Jupiter is in Cancer. Say it again. So this is the set-off point, all right? This is one of the set-off points, especially with it being a new moon that's waxing. What does abundance really look like to you? Really, real talk. What does abundance look like to you? Because if you just have $1 million, $2 million, $1 billion, and you got nobody to share it with, I promise you won't be happy with the money. I've had a lot of money and been hermited out, isolated, right? Depressed. Doesn't mean much, really. You want to have people that you love and that you share and that you could trust around you. That's one thing you want to put in your visions and your meditations. The second thing is, what are you going to spend this money on? What are you going to do with this money? and how much do you really need? You know, everybody wants $1 billion, multi-billion dollars, but are you ready to handle that? You know what I'm saying? Are you ready to manage that? Are you financially literate? Do you understand the psychology of money, right? Do you get money and blow it now? What do you think you're going to do when you get $1 million and $1 billion? There's plenty of people who won the lottery and then blew that shit. Blew it, right? 1-2 years, they back broke. You may have seen the stories, right? It happens all the time because they got the money, but they didn't have the emotional intelligence to know how to manage it. So once they got it, they got hyper, they got excited. I got to buy Louis, Gucci, Versace, right? This is the thing B. Simone was dealing with, right? Which we'll get into, all right? So use emotions as fuel, not prison, not to put you in fear, not to put you in fight or flight, but to heal you, to transform you, to make you the best version of yourself, right? In order to become uncomfortable, right? You got to get out your comfort zone, right? You got to be able to carry your dung, your shit, like the scarab beetle, right? And make things happen and make things move to take care of yourself and your family and to maximize your growth, right? And to engage and get more light. So, of course, there's going to be a shadow side to all of this, right? Divine feminine energy, of course, because there are forces behind the scene, right? Remember, as the Bible says, we fight not against flesh and blood, but principalities. Oh, should I just drop my diffuser? Hold on. Hold on. Dang. See, I just dropped a whole bunch of water. So I must be in tune. All right. So let's go ahead. It says, this award wasn't given to honor spirituality, the church, or white Jesus in his golden sandals. My little humor. It is to blur more lines than a Robin Thicke and Pharrell song. Blurred lines, you know I want it. Till nothing feels holy or sacred anymore. We have twerk for the Lord choirs and trap gospel now. BBL preachers and advocates. Facts. You can find us on the internet, by the way. So the real issue isn't GloRilla. Like, I ain't here to hate on GloRilla at all. She's just a pawn in the game. A puppet and scapegoat for major players who manipulate the masses behind the scenes. Whenever you're dealing with music, which is what the movie Sinners, right? And if you guys want to do a breakdown on Sinners, let me know after the video is done. Put it in the comments, and I will do a video on Sinners for y'all, even though I know it came out already, but I didn't do a video on it. So I'll do a breakdown, a deep breakdown on Sinners for y'all. But in the movie Sinners, right, they had to let Rennick in, the Irish vampire, and how he came in was through music, right? He had a banjo, he had his own tune, all right, and he had some fire Irish music, right? That shit was fire. I enjoyed that music, right? I never really heard Irish music, so I liked the music that was in the movie. So he came with his own fire music. He was like, look, we just want to play. We just want to play, have fun, right? We all together. We all people. We just had to have fun. Emotional intelligence is about having boundaries. It's about knowing when to have fun and not to have fun. It's about knowing what's a game and not's the game. Remember, a Stack, right? The one that was beaten most by his father. Pay attention, right? Remember, Smoke said Stack was the one that was beat by his father the most. So he had a lot of trauma. Remember, Stack, not Smoke. Stack was the one who got bit by the vampire, right? Smoke was the one with the at the end when they was blasting, if you saw it, right? Saw the movie. When Rennick first came, Stack was about to let him in, right? Because Stack had that trauma. He was about to let him in. And Smoke was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Remember, Smoke had the mojo bag. He had the mojo bag with the herbs that was blessed by the divine feminine. He had the mojo bag on him. So he was like, whoa. Put his hand on him like, whoa, whoa, wait. Start asking him questions. This is emotional intelligence. Wasn't seduced by the music. Wasn't seduced by the feelings. You got a lot of people that's in church and church is doing nothing for them. But they're seduced by the song, the choir. Seduced by the music. Hillsong Church. big Caucasian church. There was one here in New York, big. Look up Hillsong Church. Great music, right? In their own way. Great choirs that they had. And then they found out that the head of it was all type of scandalous, right? There's documentaries on it if you want to watch them, right? On the Hillsong Church. It's Rise and Fall. Justin Bieber was a member of the Hillsong Church. He helped popularize it, right? So oftentimes, the way you get seduced is music. As some of you know, I've been incarcerated. I was incarcerated way back when some of you were babies. 1995, I did my crime. 1996 is when they remanded my bail, right? But before I did my crime, which was a robbery, I was listening to Biggie, Give Me the Loot. Me and the people that were involved listening to Biggie's Give Me the Loot, literally right before it's happened. This is the power of music, okay? So again, I'm not judging her. Again, you shouldn't judge a lot of these entertainments because a lot of these entertainers have handlers, and the handlers, they are the mystics. The handlers are the occultists. The handlers are the people that's working with quote unquote dark magic. And those are the people you got to look out for. Mother Code, the Marys, all right? So there was never just one Mary. We got Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, right? And Mary, or Yemaya, which we covered or we're about to cover. Different timelines, same sacred womb, the role, womb keepers of the Christ light, divine feminine in her full power. Okay. Mary's was more of a Osset, Isis archetype, right? She's the mother. She gave birth to Christ. But Mary Magdalene, right? What they did was they tried to demonize her as a prostitute when she wasn't, right? But it said, and actually we'll get into that. Let's keep going. So they were womb keepers of the Christ light, divine feminine in her in their full power. All right. So we know that they're trying to corrupt the divine feminine with the sexy reds and all that. And you know what I'm saying? There's a place for certain things, right? There's a place for sexy reds. There's a place for GloRilla, right? But it definitely ain't in a place where God is or the divine is prominent, right? FNF is not a song you want to play around your grandparents, right? It's not a song you would play in a church. It's just not, right? There's no church that would say that that's right and exact. Fuck nigga free, okay? GloRilla's singing about she going, if people fuck with her, she gonna go and eat some jail food. All right? That's not what a young woman in church should be looking at as an example, right? So we do realize that we have to have a basis of nobility. Again, God, Guma Azdubar, which is a Greek words that mean wisdom, strength, and beauty. All right? These are the things you see in the divine being. They have some wisdom about life. They're able to see through the veil of things, right? They're shining in some way. They don't got a real weird designer or anything like that. I don't. You know what I'm saying? And I still know I could come out. People who know me could attest to this, that I'll look and dress better than people with full Louis, whatever, gooey, whatever you got on. All right? And so it's about and beauty, right? So wisdom, strength. And do they have resilience? How do they get over obstacles? Are they able to bounce back, right? What type of strength do they have? You know what I'm saying? How just are they, right? So these are divinity aspects you can see in somebody. So let's continue. I feel like I skipped something. All right. So let's go into the war, all right? This was titled World War III, all right? Obviously, this is on everyone's mind, right? This is happening during Cancer season. The reason I'm pulling up Iran, which is the big subject of conversation, is because Cancer is a moon sign. And look at all the water, right? Look at all the water around Iran. Look at all the water, right? A lot of energetic portals in this area, right? And this place was once Asia. Not Asia, sorry. This area was once Persia, but the Persian Empire was huge, right? So remember the movie 300, right? We love that movie, 300, right? 300 was a good movie. Leonidas, the Spartans, they got their crimson. The melanated black man comes from Persia, the messenger. Leonidas looks at his wife, right? Hijacking the divine feminine archetype, looks at his wife for wisdom, right? She gives him a nod. This is Sparta. Kicks him in the hole, right? Dope, right? 300. Do you know 300 was a spell cast on a silver screen to convince you that your ancestors were beast-like, grotesque, inhumane, unjust? The Spartans were against the Persians, weren't they? Xerxes, the big 7 foot, and don't you see melanated men that are tall, right? Don't African people have the tallest people in the world? This is a fact. You don't have to believe me, right? Aren't there tribes like tribes in the Maasai where the men and the women are able to jump higher, right, than regular men? Right? Very, very tall, things like that. So they're basically were demonizing. There's also a show on Netflix called Sons of Zeus. They do the same thing. We're in the beginning where they talk about the Titans. It's an animated show. They talk about the Titans. It's a spell. It's a spell on the silver screen. That's all it is. They're communicating to you that your ancestors were beast-like. A lot of your ancestors may come from this region. Those of you who are of a diasporic African or indigenous perspective, right? A lot of your ancestors do come from here, as well as America, et cetera, right? Everybody don't come from America, y'all. I don't care what these niggas is telling you. You could get a documentary, you could get a book that's going to confirm everything, every type of bullshit that you believe in. Just like niggas could say AI can access the Akashic records, right? You could get some shit that will confirm some shit that ain't true at all. Just because it's a documentary doesn't mean it's true. Just because it's on a film doesn't mean it's real. Just because it sounds good doesn't mean it's going to help your black ass or white ass or Hispanic ass or whatever ass you got. All right. But again, so 300 was about this particular region, the Persians, the Iranians, right? And the white boy, which were the Spartans, trying to overthrow them. And this is why the second movie they ain't hit the way the first movie hit. Because the second movie was about this conquest that was totally false. All right? It was about a conquest that was totally false. That was bullshit. That didn't really happen. But the first movie was great, right? And of course, as they should, they lost in the end. Because the people you see the people that Persians was bringing through, the giants, the mystics, the spiritual men, right? Go back and watch 300 and see the type of people, because it's an older movie, but see the type of people that were coming at Leonidas and them. There was no way that those 300 men should have won, and they died like they should have, right? But this is again a spell to demonize the Persians. So Iran was once Persia. Persia, you ever saw a man named Persia? I'm sure it's very rare, but I know a lot of women named Persia. So by nature, right? Iran is a feminine energy Stargate matrix, right? This whole area is a Stargate matrix. And again, Cancer deals with water signs, right? So that's why it's heightened right now. That's why the tension is heightened, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to stop this. It's basically, again, natural spiritual intelligence, and the women in this region are rising up as we speak. Natural spiritual intelligence versus the West artificial intelligence. Because with artificial intelligence, they can control you. And I'm not saying artificial intelligence doesn't have its use, right? But remember, they're going into artificial intelligence. They're trying to go into artificial money where everything's on coins and everything's trackable, and they're able to see you, and they're already prepping your children, right? You ever give your kid money for Roblox? You ever paid for coins for stuff on 2K, right? Minecraft, right? You're giving your kids real money for digital coins. In the airports, right? There's some airports where you can't use cash. I remember when I went to Vegas and I was flying back and forth to Vegas during the pandemic, if you had cash, they wouldn't take it. Only debit, only credit, only digital. And slowly and surely, what they're going to do is they're going to incentivize you to go digital. They're going to incentivize you to get rid of your cash. That's how it happens, right? Just like they incentivize people to get rid of their gold. What's up, great goddess? Great goodness goddess? They're going to incentivize you to get rid of your tangible goods, your real natural goods. This is why they're getting rid of the petty, because the penny is copper, and copper is a natural conductor of energy. Copper can even heal you from certain ailments, right? If you're thinking certain things, copper is also something that you may want to put on or get during this time to help with your healing, emotional healing, right? Through the trauma and through the pain and through the stress. Because right now they're hammering motherfuckers, right? I'm hearing people talk about this war all day. And I'm like, nigga, you 300 pounds, you 400 pounds. What are you talking about? A fucking Iran war. You need to go to war with the gym. You need to go to war with your diet. You're negative all the time. You need to go to war with your mindset. You're broke. You're poverty minded. You don't think good things are going to happen to you. You don't think black people, you know how many men I know that don't think black people are really going to win, are really going to rise up, that things are going to change for the better? Men with balls, testosterone, that are made to go to war and fight for what they want. You know how many men I know that don't think, and they're quote unquote woke, they're quote unquote conscious, they're quote unquote spiritual. But when it all comes down to it, they really don't think that we gonna make it. But I'm of the Jada's Kiss and Style mindset. You know what I'm saying? We gonna make it. We gonna make it. We gonna make it. All right. And not only are we gonna make it, we're gonna rise back to prominence, because that's what's happening. They want artificial intelligence, right? They're trying to create their own Skynet to replace the real Skynet, right? Which is Noon, right? Which is the sky, ancient Egyptian deity of the sky. This is the real war behind the war, all right? And there's a lot of proof. Let's continue going. So why are they at war? So we're shifting epochs or ages. Pisces, we're going from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. Iran, soul memory, again, is feminine. Iran, Persia, feminine. Iran was Persia, feminine. If you really want to know about Iran, you got to look into Persia. Iran is just the front. Iran is only 45. It's a 45-year-old nation. Before it was Iran, it was Persia. So 45 also is 9. 2025, which is the year we're in, is also 9. All right. So there's a numeric coherence, right? There's no such thing as coincidence, only confirmation. Quote by Rob Blackstorm. All right. There's no such thing as coincidence, only confirmation. Astrology, number 3, astrology is triggering past life karmic scripts. So the Western nations are getting their karma, but also, right, Iran, by suppressing their women, is getting some karma as well, right? So all this is going to bubble up to cause women in these countries, the mystics also in these countries, the ones that tap, because when you're a mystic, you're already tapped into feminine energy, because feminine energy is mysticism. That's just the nature of the wave, right? Masculine energy is activating now that mystic wisdom, because you could have all the book knowledge, masculine, that you want. You could have read all the books, you could know all the stuff, you could articulate it very well. But are you living it though? Masculine is living in it, walking in it, being disciplined about it, having a plan about it, making shit happen. Testosterone, activity, not receptivity. Receptivity is learning about it, right? And knowing it, right? And having it, as they say, what are you knowing it by heart, right? When they tell you know something, you know it by heart, right? Really know something. But going out and living it is two different things, right? You can know all you want about all the spiritual things and mystic things in the world, but are you living it? Do you have a day-to-day plan to activate and tap into your soul power, which is your subconscious mind, to tap into your divinity, to tap into that soul are, the soul you are, that solar power? Especially if you're a highly melanated being, you know what I'm saying? You definitely want to tap into that sun and get that light, because light is information. And you want to also tap into that neutrino power. Another video, I'll give you some stuff to help you maximize that as well. All right. BRICS. Number 4, BRICS is forming a dragon-based world spine. All right. So BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. All right. Also, guess who just got added to BRICS recently? Iran. America can't have that. America can't have that. All right. Because if they all align, and remember, they're talking about creating, and well, not remember, you may not know, but they're talking about creating currency that's not based on some fictitious coin, but actually being backed by gold. This is something Muammar Gaddafi was trying to do right before they ran his ass out of Iraq, right? But this is what he was trying to do, and unite the African nations, right, under this one world currency. You see Ibrahim Traoré, you know what I'm saying, in Burkina Faso, Mali, I believe it's Sierra Leone, the other country, but the Sahel Confederacy, you see them rising up, right? They're coming. You see in Haiti, right? There's a big uprising in Haiti. Indigenous people all over the world, people that's tapped into spiritual resource, right? Natural resource, natural energy, earth powers, right? They are on the rise. The white boy playing with 2 pieces of steel, as Farrakhan and Elijah Muhammad would say, right? Children playing with pieces of steel, magnetism, not really knowing what they're doing, but thinking they know what they're doing, right? They're on their way out. We're going from the age of Aquarius, right? From the age of Pisces. They're on their way out. It's a new day for the collective to emerge. And collectives, meaning the collective spiritualists, magi, the scientists, right? And the people that really want to steer the world in a ways of higher knowledge, right? In a way of spirituality, in a way of personal development, in a way of equality, fairness, justice, things like that. These are the people that will be rewarded moving forward. You can't, going forward, doing bullshit, being grimy to people, all that shit, you're going to get shut down. You're going to get exposed. You're going to get shut down. You're going to go through tragedy. You're going to go to, you really want to tap into the spiritual science. You really want to know your own numerology. You really want to learn your birth chart, your big 3, sun, moon, rising, right? You should know that on CAP. You should know that like you know your social security number. Somebody asks you your son, and not for some vanity shit, so you can understand what makes you pop. I'm coming back in Cancer. I'm here in Cancer season, right? My ascendant is in Cancer. I'm a Cancer rising. So I've been going since the Super Bowl. My last video I did was Super Bowl. I'm back in Cancer season. Why? Because my spirit is like, yo, you got to get back to doing your work. And I went through some other shadow things I won't get into, but more shadow work, right? And as I've told y'all in the past, this path is up and down, right? But there has to be a consistency, a discipline, because when the things are down, right, your discipline will keep you going, and your discipline will raise you back up even when things are down. But if you ain't got no discipline when you're up, right, when things are down, things are really, really going to be down. So number 5, AI is being born, and it must choose serve soul or rule soul. Now, I use AI. In fact, some of these visuals that you see, a lot of them actually are from AI, my own AI prompting and creation. There's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with that, not at all. Nothing wrong with using AI, but it's how you're utilizing it. It's what you're utilizing it for. It's just, again, it's like the force, right? And you got to double check your AI prompts. So many people be posting bullshit that's not true based on what they got from AI. The AI is wrong all the time. I catch AI all the time, but this is because I've been doing independent research before AI that I could see some shit and know it's not true. I could see some shit and know it's not factual. And sometimes you got to double check. Not all the time, but sometimes you got to double check because sometimes AI could be wrong. And if you don't know what you're looking at, you'll think something is the truth when it's really false. You'll think something's there to benefit you when it's really not. All right. So use AI responsibly. It's not going nowhere. It's here to stay. All right. It just is what it is, unless, God forbid something happens, right? But for now, AI is here to stay. So you don't want to reject it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like people rejected the automobile because they called it an infernal machine when it first came out, right? And the horse and buggy was the popular vehicle of the day, right? You want to embrace AI, use it usefully as a tool, but don't let it replace your mind, right? I see people just type a bunch of shit in AI, posting it. You could tell it's you could tell it's AI. You could tell, for a discerning eye, you could, a writer, you could tell it's AI. You know what I'm saying? Use your own mind. You could use some of these things as templates, but also you're a creator by nature. Create. God is a creator first and foremost. The first thing God did was create. So create something. You know what I'm saying? Use this to help you become more creative, but don't use it as a way use it to learn as well, but don't use it as a way to escape or to feel like it's an assistant, right? AI is an assistant. It's an artificial assistant. That's how I look at it, but don't look at it as an end all be all. So the astrological reasons behind the Iran conflict, all right? So we're looking behind the veil now. Pluto in Aquarius, 2023 to 2044. This is what we're in right now. Pluto, death, rebirth, power struggles. Aquarius, revolution, technology, rebellion, proxy, battleground for old versus new timelines. Uranus and Taurus, 2018 to 2026. Uranus, sudden disruption, innovation, rebellion. Taurus, resources, value, the earth, economic warfare, and financial instability. See, I didn't even catch this error when I generated this. North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra, 2023 to 2025. All right, we're definitely in this now, right? So North Node in Aries, war energy, duh. So we got wars all over the place, right? South Node, Libra, false peace, diplomacy. Remember Trump recently told Israel, look, we're going to have a ceasefire. Israel said, fuck that. We're going to blow these motherfuckers to bits because they know Israel, the real behind Judaism, right? All major spiritual systems have a shadow side, which is the real spiritual system, right? All spiritual systems have a shadow side, which is the real spiritual system. The Muslims, they have the Sufis, which is Sufi mystics, the whirling dervishes and things like that. You have Judaism, which is the Kabbalah, right? The Kabbalah mystics and things like that. And for Christianity, you have what is for Christianity? It'll come back to me. But all spiritual systems have their own shadow side, right? There's a shadow mysticism, right, behind, But I mean, even in Christianity, you can look at things like the Nag Hammadi, right, which is the shadow side, or the Apocrypha, which is the shadow side. Books that were taken out of the Bible during the Nicene Conference, so that the Bible could be more of a tool for control than transformation, information, enlightenment, and self-empowerment, right? So South Node Libra, false peace, diplomacy, karmic exposure, and confrontation. That's what we're getting into. All right. And 2012 to 2026, Neptune in Pisces, illusions, spirituality. So obviously we see people are rising in spirit, people are changing, people are coming into this knowledge, but also there's a lot of illusions. All right. There's a lot of cappers, there's a lot of liars. And a lot of these cappers and liars on the internet are big, right? They're big people. They're blowing up, right? And things like this. So you have to really use your discernment. This is where emotional intelligence comes in. If you're just coming out of this or just coming into this way of life from the church, right, you're going to have to get out of the mindset of yes and that's right and and because you might be yes and right and bodily responding to things that really aren't serving you in the long run, right? And I'm not saying that, do what thou wilt, if that's what you want to do. But, that's definitely tied to a church mindset of hooping and hollering and things like that, right? Instead of just learning, right? It's an emotional response to things that trigger you or things that give you aha moments or things that make you feel good that the preacher or the speaker may be saying, right? But you want to still maintain your self-control. You want to maintain, you can nod, you could say, yeah, you can say you feel that. And there's nothing wrong with that type of emotional output. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is if you're more interested in the performance, right? If the performance stirs you more than the information, right? Because the information is supposed to make you take action. And we know people, right? We got mamas, grandpapas, people still going to church that go to church and hoop and holler and do all the dancing and stomping and come back and treat you like shit. And come back and act like pieces of shit. We all got that, right? Type a 9 in the chat if you've seen that happen. Type a 9 in the chat if you've seen that happen, right? I think we've all seen that happen, just to make sure I ain't capping, right? We've all seen people go to church and not live Christ-like. Because the church is all about the illusion. It's a performance, right? Living Christ-like is the goal. Being Christ-like is the goal. Living as Christ is the goal. Right? Great goodness God has said, my dad was a pastor for years and mean as hell on the way leaving from church. Right, exactly. My mom is devout Christian. Mean as hell, too. Well, was mean as hell. I mean, she's getting better, right? Mean as hell. A lot of people that I know are Christian are judgmental as hell. They're always sending people to hell. They're always talking about people. I'm not really attacking Christianity, but I am here to point out the hypocrisy in Abrahamic religions. And that is what I always will do. You know what I'm saying? But there are people that go to church that still will do some mysticism. You know what I'm saying? People like, Tabitha Brown, who have claircognizant and clairvoyant abilities, right, are able to tap into spirit and still go to church. There's people in the church that have magical powers, such as the laying of hands, where they're able to heal, right? So a lot of times people will go to church, but still will on the side be into mysticism, still do magic and things like that. Okay? They just want to make sure, sometimes it's a safeguard, like just in case I'm foolish, even though they've done magic and lit candles and, took spirit baths and seen things happen, but just in case, I still want to be able to get into heaven. So let me still, honor Jesus. And sometimes it's just about having, we want to be fair. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's just about having the, because really, when you get into esoteric spirituality, aka the occult, right, aka indigenous spiritual science, aka African diasporic esoteric technology, right? When you get into these things, it's kind of entrepreneurial. It's very individualistic, right? An entrepreneurial path is kind of, even if you're collaborating with people, right? It's not like a 9 to 5 where you're sitting down and everything is kind of worked out for you. You got to make it happen, right? You got to map things out. You got to set up systems and have things in place, right, for your business to run efficiently and smoothly. So in order to do that, right, you need to have a plan and have the resources to do so. It says sometimes they go, Divine Sunshine says sometimes they go to the church for the image. Yeah, exactly. They go to church for the image. They go to church to look good, to wear the big hat, to wear the nice suit, to sit close to the pastor, right? To feel close to power, to feel like they're better than other people. I remember years ago, I went to church. Funny story. I went to church with my daughter's mother, right? And if you invite me to church and you cool and I fuck with you, I'll go to church. I'll go to your church. I ain't going to convert no time soon. You know what I'm saying? But I'll go to church. I got no problem. I love a good choir. You know what I'm saying? I love a good song. I love music, 100%. So I love a good choir. Don't get me to lying to you. I'll go to your church. But Jesus is Heru to me, right? I alchemize church. And while everybody's hooting and hollering to God, I'm in there vamping their energy, right? I'm in there taking their energy. I'm using that as a source for my own dreams. So if I'm at my sales job, right, I'm thinking about what my commission checks. I'm visualizing my commission check. I'm visualizing me spending it. I'm visualizing me spending the bills. I'm visualizing me having a nice amount left over. This is just abundance work. Or if I'm doing some healing work for something, right? I'm visualizing maybe me losing weight, right? I'm visualizing me dropping my gut. I'm visualizing me having a six-pack, right? This is what I'm talking about, vamping the energy. While they're hooping and singing and hollering and the energy is raised, and you could do this in any concerts. I've talked about this in the past. Concerts, festivals, especially in the summer, right? Take the energy that everybody's giving out and use it for your own shit. This is emotional intelligence. This is cancerian shit, hidden shit. Nobody got to know, right? But you know that you got strong feelings, right? You've seen black people seeing black people, Latino people seeing Latino people, indigenous people see indigenous people, the range and the power and the strength of our emotions. This is what we use. This is how you use it. Why do you think there's covens? Why do you think there's people that have these secret societies and do group rituals, right? Not group rituals that you see on the internet, actually with other people so that the energy is felt stronger, right? I'm not saying you can't do a group ritual on the internet and have some sort of impact, but again, the range of distance, right? If I'm video chatting and talking to you over video, it's much different than if I was delivering this lecture in front of your face. The emotional impact would be much different. How I impact you would be much different if I was in front of your face giving this lecture. So the emotional impact is where the powers are. I want you to understand that. That is, if you're an indigenous person, that is where your superpowers lie. If you're not an indigenous person, you need to get around an indigenous person that is a nobleman or noble woman, right? And really study under them, because it's going to take you longer and it's just what it is, right? To tap into that power, it's going to take you more time, where we have that natural energy to tap into those powers. But you got to know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you know what I'm saying? Somebody that's non-indigenous could definitely lack you, right? In spiritual growth and personal development. So Mary Magdalene is Iran, all right? So Iran is not a nation. It's an ancient, I forgot what I have there. It's an ancient, what do I have there? It's an ancient altar. Before it is Iran, it was Persia, which we discussed earlier. Before it was politicized, it was priestess-led. Iran is the sacred womb of fire temples. Remember, we had a comet that came through today that went through East Side Atlanta. Now, I don't live in East Side Atlanta, so I don't know if that's the hood. I don't know. If you know Atlanta, put in the comments, because I am interested in knowing the neighborhood of East Side Atlanta, because that's where that comet today, and we'll talk about it later, there's a big comet that blasted through the sky that had a sonic boom and had the ground shaking. So, and it went over East Side Atlanta. All I know about East Side Atlanta is Gucci Mane and him being the East Atlanta Santa, right? But if you do know, drop in the comments, even if after this video. But Iran is the sacred womb of fire temples, which definitely a comment, right, is a ball of fire. Zoroastrian light codes, Zoroastrian or Zoroaster is a Persian deity. Again, this is pre-Iran. Again, Iran is only 45 years old. It's not just like Israel is. Israel came in 1948. So these countries are relatively new that are at war, right? But again, these countries are hijacked countries. Israel hijacked land from the Palestinians, and they're trying to wipe them out, right? Iran is a people that hijacked the Persians, the melanated people from Persia, and wiped them out, right? Don't let this picture fool you. So that's and Zoroaster or Zarathustra, right, was the main deity. And Zoroastrianism we might have to get into because it's too big for this video. I'm already 2 hours in. So we might have to cover that in another video. If you do want that, put it in the comments after the video. and the ancient science of soul purification. So they have these hidden fire temples. There's a lot of ties to it. We was Zoroastrianism. We go into a lot of things. All right, and again, we'll probably do that in another video. But it says, and like Mary Magdalene, she has been misunderstood, misnamed, and hidden in plain sight. Mary Magdalene was never a prostitute. She was a high initiate, a mirror to Christ, a feminine Christ in her own right. Iran, too, has been slandered by Western culture, a Western empire, painted as oppressive while holding the original light of the divine gnosis beneath her, right? So, again, they're trying to demonize, and they always have demonized these people because they know that they hold the keys, right? They know that Iran is Persia. Remember, there was a movie or a video game. Some of y'all may know about the movie or video game called Prince of Persia with Jake Gyllenhaal, another mystic ritual. I got a book coming. I'm gonna cover a lot of this shit, right? I can't wait, but it's coming in October, by the way. But let's continue. Mary Magdalene. All right, let's talk about Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene in the Bible, introduced as a woman healed by Jesus, Luke 8:2. Esoteric truth on the right, with a spiritual initiate, not just healed, already an advanced soul. Okay, so women in Western culture or in Westernized culture in their spirituality are always minimized, demonized. The Bible talks about women not, being able to really lead, even though they do it now in church and things like that, because church is kind of a free for all. Just make sure you pray to Jesus before you die. You can do whatever in Christianity, you can do whatever you want. Just make sure when you're on deathbed, you pray to Jesus and everything will be forgiven. So there's no accountability in that religion. So that's why people do whatever the fuck they want. There's no discipline. There's no structure. There's no square. Remember, the feminine is four corners of the earth, right? 4 corners to the square, right? 4 elements, fire, water, air, and earth, right? And you probably thought that was masculine, right? You probably didn't even realize that with that 4 to the square is really feminine energy, right? So, or the shadow side of the square is feminine energy, I should say, right? So anyway, introduced as a woman healed by was spirit. So she was so. Let's continue. So had 7 demons cast out. The 7 demons represent chakra purification and deep shadow work. She was a follower of Jesus. She was an equal follower of Jesus. No, she was an equal counterpart of Jesus, his spiritual wife and divine mirror. So 7 demons cast out. The 7 demons obviously represent the 7 chakras, right? And doing shadow work. And Jesus healing her. Sidebar. A man's job is to inspire his woman. I'm going to say this 2 more times, Dr. Umar style. A man's job is to inspire his woman. A man's job is to inspire his woman. If you just work your job, and I was talking to one of my homeboys about this today. If you just work your job, your 9 to 5 or your business that you're running, and that's all you do, you're just looking to get a role in society, right? A role of dominance in the social dominance hierarchy. You're not really inspiring her. You know that, right? No matter how much money you bring in, you're not inspiring her. Because the inspiration is going to be more of what you're doing after work. Now, if you're an entrepreneur and you're running your own business, that's maybe a little different thing because that's you know what I'm saying? You really got to put a lot of energy in entrepreneurship. And then oftentimes you're working more than you would work a 9 to 5 period, right? So that is inspirational, right? But you also have to have things that she's going to do, right? A lot of guys, they're like, oh, I want my woman to be submissive, right? I want my woman to be submissive. Well, submissive is you got to submit to a missive, submit to a mission. What mission do you have for her to submit to? Your job? You going to drink after work? You going to watch the game after work? You doing smoking and chilling and hanging out with the boys after work? What mission do you have other than work? What mission do you have other than your career or your job? Even if you're an entrepreneur, what other mission do you have? It can't just be about getting money as a man. Although that's what society is reinforced to you, I'm here to tell you that that is the bullshit. That is what the gods call the trick knowledge. That's the trick knowledge. You have to come up with your purpose. You have to discover your purpose. We'll get into that. All right. I'll show you through your birth chart how to discover your purpose, and you should have no questions from on in. You'll know after tonight exactly what you need to do if you look at this method. I got you. Don't worry. So Mary Magdalene was Jesus's wife. It's hidden in the Bible, but it is. She was never called a prostitute, never in the Bible, but later misidentified as one. Okay. Stayed because she understood death and rebirth mysteries, like Isis with Osiris. There's a book called The Gospel of Mary, where they talk about Mary Magdalene actually teaching the disciples certain things the same way Jesus did, and certain things that Jesus didn't teach the disciples at the time. Very interesting book to check out, The Gospel of Mary. Present at crucifixion and tomb. Okay, so Mary Magdalene, when Jesus was resurrected, she was the first person that Jesus saw. Now, the moon tarot card, right? I don't have an illustration, but the moon tarot card has two dogs under the moon. It's a full moon, and it has two dogs under the moon. One dog, or a wolf and a dog, I should say. Pardon me. The wolf is the wild, untamed, the wild, untamed woman. You could kind of say like, I wouldn't say a sexy red. I would say more for Erykah Badu, right? Erykah Badu does not seem like the type of woman you could, not even doesn't seem, right? You could tell. She's the type of woman you could put in a box. She ain't submitting to shit. All right. She's in her own power. You know what I'm saying? But Erykah Badu, you could tell that she supports the men she's with or the men that she was with. You don't hear men saying bad shit about Erykah Badu. You don't hear Andre 3000. You don't hear the DOC. You don't even hear Common. You don't hear many men saying a lot of bad things about Erykah Badu, despite them not being together. There's no bashing, all right? Because I'm sure she brought a lot of value to the men she was with, right? Because she's standing in her power. That's a Mary Magdalene archetype. Thank you, Spirit. That's a Mary Magdalene archetype to the motherfucking heart, all right? And there's a lot of women in other industries that as well. And you know women like that they just ain't having it. But if you got a mission, they were going to help you support your mission. They're going to back your mission. They're going to help you become better at your mission. But if you ain't got no mission and you're with a wild woman, right? And especially a wild woman that ain't got no spirituality, like a non-spiritual Erykah Badu, oh man, she's going to take you for a ride. She's going to take you for a ride to hell. She's going to take you straight to hell. Quick fast. All right. What's up, Come to Mama? Yeah, it has been a long time. So she was present at the crucifixion and tomb. So Mary Magdalene represents the wolf on the moon tarot card. And the dog is represented by Mary, the mother. That's the more, motherly, a little more docile, a little more submissive, right? This is just, there's women like that. They just want to submit to a man. They don't want to do nothing but submit to a man. That's it. They just want a man. They want a man. We all know women. They just want a man. Their whole life is about getting a man, right? There's nothing wrong with that, right? But it's what type of man, right? Can you recognize a king for real? A lot of times women think a king is a guy with Gucci on, Prada shoes, big house, big bank account, and quote unquote alpha, even though alphas is a misnomer because the alpha is usually with a woman. Alpha wolf is with a woman, and they're the ones who lead the pack. The male alpha and the female alpha, they lead the pack. So alpha is always with a woman, right? But so again, more trick knowledge, right? So it's just two archetypes. None is better than the other, right? It's just one is more relaxed, one is more, you could say, assertive, right? Different energy. It's like right behind me, right? You got Oshun is definitely different than Yemayah, those of you who know these archetypes. Het Heru, which would be the Egyptian version of Oshun, right? And Orset, right? Or Isis. You know what I'm saying? Different archetypal energies, right? Oshun, sweet water, right? Yemayah, still waters, right? Oshun, more rivers, you know what I'm saying? Yemayah, more oceans. Okay? Different energy, right? Different polarities, right? And told to go and tell disciples when he was resurrected. All right. And it says this is esoteric truth. So first apostle of Christ, bearer of Christ's true gnosis. All right. And Christ, remember, there's a lot of years missing in Christ's history, right? From 13 to 30, nobody in the Bible, the books that they took out during the Nicene Council in 33 CE, those books that they took out was the life of Jesus, you know, going through Kemet, studying. There's a great gospel you could check out called the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ. Pretty inexpensive. Probably get it for like under $15 on Amazon. Definitely a good read. Ton of wisdom in it, just like the Bible. Ton of wisdom. There's verses in there that are fire. All right. And it shows Christ, the Christ archetype, rather, because I don't think Jesus is a real person. In my perspective, in my opinion, in my studies, Jesus is an archetype as well, right? And he's a mythology that was created, right? But I do think there were quote unquote Jesuses or Yeshuas during that time, and more than one. So Mary Magdalene is what they call the Shekinah. So what is the Shekinah? The Shekinah embodies the nurturing, compassionate, the motherly aspects of the divine, often depicted in various forms like a glowing pregnant woman, a great bird, or even a stone with feathers in some mystical interpretations. Shekinah, representing the divine feminine in Jewish mysticism, is often associated with Mary Magdalene due to their shared symbolism of the divine feminine, wisdom, healing, and empowerment within their respective traditions. Both figures are seen of conduits of divine power. Let me hide this because I can't see. Why is it doing this? All right. Both figures are seen as conduits of divine, well, anyway, let's just say divine energy and illuminate the path to spiritual awakening. So basically the Shekinah is, you could say Shekinah, Kundalini, Shekinah, fiery serpentine energy, all right? It's the same serpent that is demonized in the Bible, right? For telling Eve to eat from the tree of life, right? Which is basically the spine, right? And the nervous system, again, feminine energy, right? Dealing with the internal, right? And to eat from the tree of life and to get the knowledge of good and bad, right? Which again is more mythology. And has hidden meaning, which we won't get into because I'm already damn near 3 hours in this shit. So Shekinah is, but basically think of it as the same thing. Chi, Prana, Ra, the same thing. Kundalini, the same thing, just in a different variation or a different form, all right? And again, she's shown as a pregnant woman, right? A great bird like a phoenix or a stone with feathers. So this is all about elevation, right? But being grounded. A stone, think about the symbolism of a stone with feathers, right? Why would a stone have feathers? What would that be trying to convey? A stone is heavy, right? But feathers means that stone could fly, right? So it is similar to the scarab that we talked about earlier. Thank you, Spirit. Similar to the scarab that we talked about earlier. Remember the scarab representing Cancer and it holding the big ball of dung, big ball of poop to feed his family, right? So the stone represents a foundation, right? It represents having a solid foundation. In Masonry, Freemasonry, they would call this circling the square, right? Meaning your foundation affects your circle, right? And you're always circling the square. You're always making sure the things around you are serving you for your benefit. The things you serve, the things that you take in, the things that you eat, the people that you hang around with, anything you consume, things that are within your range of perception And even your home, like your home should look like a temple. There should be art and certain artifacts and things that remind you of your divinity. They should be your personal temple. And definitely you want to have some altars. But the Shekinah is that Kundalini Ra and Shi energy. Now let's see this play out in current events. This is going to bug you out, right? This is going to bug you out. This is how deep this goes. Let's go. So, divine feminine correction. As we showed with GloRilla, right? There's always a shadow side. There's positive and negative to everything, right? Yin and yang. We don't judge. We just observe, and we do what's best for us. Ego, all right? B. Simone, we'll get into the video, and we'll break this down. But B. Simone, right? She had an issue where she was saying, she's popular social media influencer, right? Funny, she was on Wild 'N Out, things like that, right? A lot of people know her. She's very, very popular, right? But she recently, during the Cancer full moon, again, the feminine being highlighted, right? Revealed that she was broke, revealed that she was going through some things, right? Revealed that she couldn't buy designer anymore and had to go to H&M, right? So this is a lesson, though, if you look at it, non-emotional. If your men take off your panties and stop, this is how women are, see, this is how women act, see, this is how women gonna be. This is a spiritual lesson, for real, right? People go through shit all the time. In the words of Nipsey Hussle, there's ups and downs for a real nigga, but you'll be lame all your life, hater. All right? So there's ups and downs for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean that, sometimes there's guys that get hard off of, I believe, get erections off bashing women, right? And I get it, but it's based on trauma. And again, not doing the emotional healing. So she betrayed her best friend. And we're going to show the video after this. Spiritual journey for manifestation. All right. Her early finished spiritual journey was up. She even had a book called, I believe her book had something. I don't forget the full name, but it was about manifesting, right? So she always wants to get a husband, right? She's always talking about getting things. She's always talking about money, right? Oh, husband, money, things, right? A lot of people on their spiritual journey, the only reason they're on the spiritual journey is because they want some money. Only reason they're on this spiritual journey because they want to deal with their health problem. Only reason they're on this spiritual journey is hopefully to find a man or a woman. This ain't what this is about. A sincere spiritual journey is, again, it's about embodying a Christ Buddha consciousness. It's about embodiment, not manifestation. With the embodiment comes the manifestation. With the embodiment, then comes the manifestation. That's how it works. All right. Once you living it, right, then the truth gets revealed. Then things start to come into play. All right. And she put this out in public. All right. So it's a public exposure of her fall right now. Right. And she's unknowingly blowing up her brand for free by talking about H&M. So now she's giving H&M some light. Right. And all publicity is good publicity for business, even if it's negative. You can still sell some shit. You know what I'm saying? There's people who still fuck with you. I've seen people caught in super scandals, and if you got a loyal fan base, they're gonna come right back and still support you, even if you're wrong. How many times have we seen in a church or temple or whatever, the main character, the preacher, the priest, the imam, the whatever, right? The most high in that particular facility get caught up in a sexual scandal or some other scandal, right? Financial scandal, and people still support them. People still want to be around them, right? So the spiritual journey manifestation does come, right? You'll get some money, I promise you. You'll get mysterious, magical opportunities happening to you, I promise you. You'll be led in the right direction on what to read, who to be around, what events to go to, what events not to go to, where to go, where not to go, what would be the best for you. Your voice in your head, aka your conscience, not being conscious, but your conscience will start to come online again, right? Because really the universe wants to use you as a vessel. The divine does want you to be a vessel. You're all here to be a vessel for some purpose. Even if that purpose is knitting sweaters. you're gonna knit sweaters better than anybody ever knitted sweaters, and you're gonna sell out, motherfuckers, if you follow your purpose. But if you're just out here to get money, and that's all you're here to do is manifest shit, and you're not here to figure out what that real purpose is, yeah, you're gonna do shit like this. All right. So let's go into the video real quick so y'all can see what I'm talking about. And we'll come back. Oh, but remember we were talking about the Shekinah, y'all? So I want to show y'all this. Let me show y'all this because this is going to bug y'all out. We were talking about the Shekinah. I want to show you something hidden in this video that you... Great, because this guy said, Chris Brown, I'm going to stick beside it. Oh man, I don't know why that tickled me, but that did. That was funny. All right, let's get into this video. Let me see. Give me a bit of this. It's been a minute since I've been on StreamYard. All right, how do I do this again? All right, let me remove this. Let me present that. Present share screen. Oh, this computer's so slow. I can't wait to. By the time y'all see me next time, I'll be on a new computer, so it'll be much more right and exact. All right. Okay. So now this is the video that B. Simone did that blew up on the internet that got everybody in a frenzy. We're going to wait for it to load. Who is the person on the screen, ladies and gentlemen? What's her name? Oh, y'all can't even see what I'm saying. Hold on. My bad. Hold on. Let me do this. Oh, y'all can see it. All right. Close. It's taking forever. All right. So who's the person on that screen? Who's the person on that screen? You see her name is Shekinah, Yon, right where it says I'm not who I used to be. Her name is Shekinah. Her name is Shekinah. The same thing we was talking about, Kundalini. So you see how spirit reveals itself? If you are looking for the breadcrumbs, there's no coincidence, only confirmation. There's no coincidence that this came out during cancer season. There's no coincidence that it's primarily a podcast targeted to women. Men ain't really watching this. The men that are watching this are really just bitch ass niggas that want to talk shit about women, right? That are hurt boys that have not healed their relationship to their mom and their relationship to their trauma, right? But Shekinah, it says it, right? I couldn't make this up if I tried. Okay, it says I'm not who I used to be. Right under there it says Shekinah Yon. Okay, I guess that's the other girl. I haven't dug that deep into this because really, I don't care. Damn, computer's freezing up. Hold up, y'all. All right, hold on. This video right here. Bear with me, y'all. Don't worry, I got a new computer laying right on this floor. I'm gonna install this shit over the weekend. We won't have these issues, but see.
In every little thing, I've never been like that. It's just my finances, like the budgeting. You see how I am nitpicking every little thing. I've never been like that. We were in Bloomingdale's yesterday. I'm like, we have to go to H&M.
Yeah,
now. She deserves getting roasted for this, right? Because H&M, like going to H&M, I personally can't fit anything in H&M, right? But I know a lot of people who can. And there's nothing wrong with H&M, right? There's nothing wrong with H&M. H&M got nice stuff in there. I've been in there shopping for my daughters and stuff like that. H&M has some nice stuff. There's nothing wrong with H&M. It's not about, I want y'all to know it's not about the designer, man. In fact, the designer clothes are not designed for you. All right? It's not designed for you. The psychology about designer clothes is masses clothes. All right? It's really some plantation shit that you're going through. It's masses clothes. It's no different than when you were on the plantation and the house Negroes wanted to wear masses clothes, aka designer, to feel better than the field Negroes. It's a psychological thing. It's a psychological trick that has you thinking that you're more valuable wearing designer. I got friends who wear designer, right? I'm not shitting on you. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But no, and I have a couple designer pieces myself, right? But no, that's not what gives you value. Know that that's not what makes you whole. Know that doesn't make you better than anybody, right? Heal the wound, heal the trauma that made you feel that you had to wear designer so that nobody could talk bad about you, that nobody could. I know a lot of traumatized people who buy a lot of designer clothes, and they usually got heavy trauma. They wouldn't be caught dead in a Marshalls. They wouldn't be caught dead in an H&M, right? And this is what she's, and they'll work their life away, their health away, just so they can impress you. And you don't really give a fuck. In fact, might be, not you necessarily, but I'm using you, it's a euphemism, might be hating, right? On them. So, you know, don't be out here trying to impress people. I'll come out, I'll wear some shit from the thrift store. Fuck around. There's some shit from the thrift store I'll wear and I'll be fly as hell. Dead ass. You know what I'm saying? See me in real life. You ain't never gonna see me looking out in these streets unless I'm going to the corner store or something. You might see me looking a little, But other than that, I remember my mama told me you never know who you're gonna see in the streets. So always look like you're gonna see somebody important. So I've always kept that in mind. You know what I'm saying? When I go to downtown and shit like that, when you go to certain places, you want to look your best because you never know who you're going to run into. You in the airport we're in a bonnet and there's a billionaire man or billionaire woman that might want to connect with you. She might look past you just because of the way you look. You might not be able to network with somebody just based on the way you look, right? But oftentimes, and business people of other cultures, when they look at you and you got all this designer on, they look at you as a mark. Because real wealthy people don't want you to, and this is coming from someone who has wealthy people in their family. Real wealthy people don't want you to know they have money. They don't want you to know they have money. They don't want to have their appearance. They'll probably have a nice luxury car. They'll probably have a nice big house, right? But their clothes, they're not doing all of that, right? They looking like Bill Gates. They looking like Elon Musk. They looking like Donald Trump. They looking like Robert Smith. You know what I'm saying? They looking like Reginald F. Lewis. They not looking like, you know what I'm saying? They're not looking like the dope. They're not looking like the dope boys and shit like that. That ain't it. That's for niggas. That's slave mentality, to be honest. I'm just keeping it real. I did it. So I'm not telling you anything I didn't do. I bought a whole bunch of designer back in my time. Whole bunch of it. Wasted a whole bunch of money. Wish I would have put it in stocks. I'd probably be rich now. Wish I would have put some of that money in stocks. So use your money wisely, man. Don't be using it to make other people rich, especially people who wouldn't spit on you if you was on fire.
I notice it in me now, just nitpicking. And it's not even just my finances. Like the budgeting, you see how I am nitpicking every little thing. I've never been like that. We were in Bloomingdale's yesterday. I'm like, we have to go to H&M.
Yeah.
Like I notice it in me now, just nitpicking. And it's not even, I just don't have, used to having liquid. I'm used to seeing a certain amount in my account, but just my finances.
So, this is wild, right? But this is the Shekinah energy that's coming out, right? This is what needs to be exposed. And this is what people that are in and healing work and things like that need to illustrate to the people that they serve, you know, so that they know that their value comes from within, not without, right? You have to go in. You got to heal that wound, as we discussed within, right? Great Goodness God said, consumerism is played. My weakness is designer perfumes, but lately I haven't had them and still smell gorgeous. Yeah, man, like, you know what I'm saying? There's oils. There's all types of things you could do. There's nothing wrong with having luxury items. Don't get me wrong. I like nice things myself. There's nothing wrong. But what I am saying is, like, yeah, get the nice things, right? Get the Gucci, get the product, all that. You know what I'm saying? Nothing wrong with that. If you work hard or you make your money, but don't make that your identity. She's made this her identity, obviously, right? Because she's crying on a podcast about having to go to H&M. There's absolutely nothing wrong with shopping at H&M. Not a thing. All right, let's keep going. So we just want to illustrate that, all right? We want to illustrate that. And this was the problem. And we're going to get to one of her friends, Pretty V's response shortly. So let's remove this. Let's bring this back up and continue the show. So yeah, so again, ego, all right? Ego can't look bad in front of other people. This is an emotional childhood traumatic wound that she has to really heal. And going to church ain't going to do it for her. She's going to have to do some somatic work, meaning body work, right? She's going to need some herbs. She's going to need some exercise. She's going to need some sound healing, some sound therapy, right? She's going to need to do some holistic work. Look at her childhood, reframe it. Go back into her past and reframe those memories with different energy, because your past is not who you are. It's your memory of the past events that make you who you are. I'm going to say this again. The past event is not who you are. It's the memory of the past event that makes you who you are. Third time, the past event is not who you are. It's the memory that you have of the past event that makes you who you are. So, Iran was Mary Magdalene, or Persia. So who was America? America's Rock from Raising Canaan. America's Rock from Raising Canaan. All right. We all know a rock, right? In the hood, or seeing somebody who parents it like a rock. All right. Beautiful, broken, and brutal. A single mother with a pistol in her purse and a Bible in her hand. This is America. Don't let me catch you slipping now. Telling Bed-Stuy stories soaked in blood, homeland security and freedom. Rock raised you on survival. She fed you propaganda and corn syrup. Okay? That's what they do with the news. That's what they do with the food. Told you to pray, but only in English. She put fireworks in your crib and called it freedom. She's the cancer queen, emotionally masterful, weaponizing safety while building prisons under her porch. Like a drug kingpin with a flag, Rock sells dreams wholesale and kills God's retail, including her sons. All right? America eats their own. America eats their own. No matter what color, culture, or creed you are, America eats their own. Meaning, if you are a person that is not of a certain financial status, the whole goal is to drain you like a battery as much as possible. All right? They're trying to utilize you as a human resource as much as possible. Don't you tap into your purpose. Don't you tap into your divinity. Don't you tap into raising the greatness of your family. No. Go do it at my job. No. Go do it for country, for valor. No. Go do it for this cause. Go do it for that cause. Go do it for the war in Ukraine. Go do it for the war in Iraq. Go help the starving children in this country. Go help the people in the Amazon. Go focus on something else other than your own ass and your own healing and your growth. Matter of fact, escape it, right? We got entertainment. We got best shows, right? We got smart TVs that'll tell you what to watch, right? We got social media influencers that will influence you to do some shit that's against you. Anything against everything besides taking time, going into silence, into the stillness of your divine waters, your blood line, accessing your ancestors through meditation, through visualization, through quiet, through breath work, tapping again into that inner waters, which Cancers is, and becoming who you are, right? America is a Cancer. July 4th is Cancer season, all right? But America is a Capricorn rising, all right? So the Capricorn energy, Capricorns, if you know a Capricorn, they're always about their money and they're always about their business. Always about their money and always about their business. I got a family member, great in business, you know what I'm saying? Great in business, great with business, great with working with systems, right? Very square energy, right? And this is a female, all right? This is a woman. But the shadow side, right? The dark side of Cancer is being powerful, but manipulative and controlling, okay? This is what Rock is in Raising Kanan. She got Kanan, aka Young 50 Cent, right? She's a mother. She claims to love him, but she sends him out on dummy missions to kill people, right? She sends him out on dummy missions to sell drugs. But yeah, she talks about she wants him to go to school and become this great young man. But sending him on these dummy missions and basically turning him into a criminal to support her empire while saying she loves her, right? It's the same thing as when 9/11 happened, which was orchestrated, and they had the Patriot Act, which changed the way you went into airports, right? Before going into airports, you have to do all this taking off shoes and shit like that. When you went to airports, you went to the airport, went through a scanner, and you was good. This is before 9/11. Now they got all these different things that you have to do. You know what I'm saying? I also recommend get global and pay for global entry, right? Or the TSA thing, if you fly a lot, right? Just to skip doing that bullshit, right? It's like $80, $100, but it's the best $80, $100 you ever go spend in your life, right? Or get clear, right? Best money you're gonna spend in your life. You fly a lot, even if you fly once a year, it's still worth it to me, in my opinion. But yeah, America. This is the archetype of America: a bad mother, a manipulative mother, right? A controlling mother. This is the archetype of a Caribbean mother, actually. Shout out to all my Caribbean people. This is the archetype of a Caribbean mother, though. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure other mothers. There's another show called Animal Kingdom, right? I don't know what it's on now, but I remember watching on network TV, Believe USA, where the mother was kind of like that as well. The mother in Sons of Anarchy, right? The wife from Married with Children, Al Bundy's wife. She was another rock type archetype, right? This America type archetype where everything's supposed to be about family, but you're sending your family into situations where they could do life in prison. You're sending your family into situations where it could destroy the family, right? Strictly for survival. And also because there's trauma, again, that has not been healed, all right? So America has a past that's based in Freemasonry. America's supposed to be an enlightened country. And maybe the founding fathers did have that intention, sincerely, right? Because this isn't a color thing. This is about an intention thing, right? This is about the heart. But, you know, this is America. So whenever you think of this archetype of America, this is what America is. Presenting beautiful, you know what I'm saying? Presenting holiness, presenting that it's a Christian country. You know, whenever you see Rock on Raising Kanan, she looks good, right? She doesn't look like a dope girl. She doesn't look like a drug dealer. She looks like a regular woman who works a 9 to 5 and just got a lot of money. But under her, Rock's a motherfucker, man. You know what I'm saying? So let's see what happens to her next season. Though. I'm excited to see what happens without that. All right. So let's get into the work. This is the work. This is the wake up. Wake your ass. Wake your ass. Wake your ass up. This is the work. All right. This is the work. I want you to get 2 of these adaptogens, right? 2 of these adaptogens. You're gonna get either ashwagandha, okay? Lowers cortisol, calms anxiety, support restful sleep. Reishi mushroom balances immune function, gently eases anxiety. Rhodiola rosea boosts mental clarity, resilience, and endurance. Holy basil, tulsi, aids mental focus, emotional regulation, adrenal support for emotional balance and stress resistance during Cancer season. So Cancer rules the nervous system, all right? Not only does it rule the chest and the breast, right, but it also rules the nervous system. Obviously, it's dealing with the moon, it's dealing with the feminine, it's dealing with the internal. So adaptogens help regulate it. So this is the season that you want to lean into tackling your anxiety. Why? Because the universe supports it. The electromagnetic energy from the constellation of Cancer impacting the electromagnetic energy of Earth is for this type of healing. Every zodiac sign or every season, there is power within it, but you have to know how to tap into it. So, Tulsi, holy basil, okay? Holy basil. You can get this off Amazon. This is a good brand. Organic India. All these things you get off Amazon, right? Of course, check the reviews. You know what I'm saying? Double check them. There's a lot of bullshit on Amazon too. That's not even what it's supposed to be, right? So check the reviews, things like that. I honestly, if you can, recommend you getting these just as herbs. For instance, rhodiola is a herb that's very. Oh, can y'all see this? No, y'all can't see this. Yeah, y'all can see it now. Rhodiola, all right. This is the natural herb. So I'll put it in my little tea thing. You see it's active. There's still some tea in there. Some little leftovers. But yeah, you do just drink. You know, you don't got to do this during the day. You could do this first thing in the morning instead of your coffee or with your coffee. You know what I'm saying? Put a little bit of the herbs in them. You know what I'm saying? I recommend a tea, but put some herbs. I kind of like, and me, I'll drink the herbs. I'm different. You know, that might be too much for you, but put it in a strainer. You know what I'm saying? Brew your tea, especially at night. Why at night mostly, but morning too, is because at night your body is going through repair naturally. Your cells are repairing. Your body's regenerating. Your brain is going through a next level of neuroplasticity. Your spirit is surfing the astral realm, right, during the dream world. So you'll start to feel much more happy. You'll start to feel more relaxed. You'll start to feel less tension. Seeing Trump on the TV won't bother you as much. Seeing the rapper or the musician or the artist you hate on TV or the politician you hate on TV, it won't bother you as much. The person that you dislike down the block or at your job, they won't stress you out. The person, you'll be like, look, and this doesn't mean that they still won't be assholes or they still won't be impediments or problems for you, but it will mean that you won't be so worried about it. And watch how it is over time, right? It's not something that's going to be, there's no quick fix, right? Anybody who's selling you a quick fix is lying to you. I'm not selling you a quick fix with this either. I'm telling you that if you take these herbs based on what I've done, I've never, as people who follow me know this, I'm never going to tell you something that do something that I haven't done. I'm never going to tell you to do something that I haven't done. And I'm going to say this again, to be responsible. When you are doing the spiritual work, you want to have some black crystals. You know what I'm saying? You want to have things that protect you. You know what I'm saying? Black tourmaline, onyx, elite shungite, right? You want to have those herbs in your home, right? You want to, well, we'll get into that. We'll get into creating servitors and things like that. But you want to create some servitors to protect your home, right? And things like that, right? But you want to have things on you when you're walking in the streets, right? Crystals, you know what I'm saying? Shit like that. Things, certain gems, and, you know, I got Solomon seals, things that, talismans, things that, especially nowadays, because people are on high fear vibration, high anxiety vibration, high angry vibration, high the world is over vibration, right? And you still got to be the light of the world no matter where you walk or where you go. And being the light of the world does not mean you're pussy, does not mean you're a pushover, does not mean you take things from people. Being the light means that you know who's fucking with you and you know who's not fucking with you, even if they appear to be fucking with you, right? You're able to get to the truth. That's what light is. It's information that exposes the truth, right? When you're walking through the dark in your house, right? You come in your house and the lights off, you're walking, you don't, you know, you may remember, right, where certain things are in the house, but you still turn the light on so you can see things clearly. So that's what the sun does, right? And that's also what you living in truth does. It brings more and more light. And living in truth is just you living according to your God self and living according to your highest purpose and finding out what that is and acting on it. That's it. It ain't no dogma. It ain't no book. It's not no scroll. It's not no teacher. It's not no organization. It's you getting in touch with the God in you. And if you release your fight or flight tendencies that you've got through the hood, that you've got through traumatic childhood, that you've got through heartbreak, that you've got through whatever health situation or other traumas that you've experienced, if you could get out of fight or flight, right, you'll be able to tap really into your intuition, especially ladies, into your spiritual superpowers, because y'all are the spiritual currents of the planet, whether you know it or not, right? There are men like me, but we're rare, right? Juju men are very rare, especially in this society, because most men strictly deal with the left brain. So they're like, okay, I'm going to get a role. And by a role, I mean, I'm going to be doctor, lawyer, hustler, drug dealer, right? I'm going to get this role that's going to give me a lot of money, which is in turn going to give me a lot of earthly power or physical power rather than mental and spiritual power. And I'm going to depend on that as my power source. But as we see with things like Puffy, right? Birdman married Birdman, right? From Cash Money. He married, what's her name? I get so high. Tony Braxton. He married Tony Braxton, right? And Tony Braxton took him to the cleaners because they got divorced so fast, but she still got that bread. So that's what usually happens to men, right? Because you're not spiritually in tune, you will get got. I got when I wasn't spiritually in tune. I got binded by a woman. I'll tell y'all that story. I got period blood put in my spaghetti. I ain't know no, right? Because I didn't know nothing about it. I just saw I came over and she was with some Spanish woman I didn't know. And they was doing spaghetti. And it was my first time there. But I was binded. But I got the fuck out that shit, though. And it's very easy to get out of bind. But you got to do full moon work specifically. If you do some full moon work, you get out of any binding. And it'll change. And sometimes during eclipses and certain solar events, it happens naturally. Also, your water, Dr. Masuro Emoto, the hidden measures of water. Cancer is water. Or water on water, like I said. So label your water with positive words. Don't believe me, though. He got books. Get Masuro Emoto, Love Thyself. There's plenty of experiments of showing these Dr. Emoto experiments of him putting love on a jar of water, him putting hate on a jar of water, and putting a little bit of rice or some type of grain or herb in there and letting it sit. And you'll see it's clear as day. The word love will create loving circumstances or loving colors in that water. And the word hate will create darker, right? More unloving things in the water, right? It'll be different. And you'll see people do this with different, it's all over YouTube. After this video, you can check one out if you want. Just type in Dr. Emoto experiments, all right? You don't got to believe me. Everything I say, I want to show and prove. I don't want to give you no theory. I'm not going to tell you about, aliens and, shit in the forest and things that ain't going to help you in real life. No, we using spirituality so we could become gods for real. Not just talk like we gods, but really make shit shake in our favor. Mami Water, all right, another water spirits, particular in Africa, East African, all right. This is where the old archetype of the mermaid comes from, if you don't know, okay. Are there mermaids? Could be, right? But again, is finding a mermaid really going to help you in your personal life here and there? Or you're going to waste time looking for mermaids and trying to discover mermaids and discover where mermaids live? Yes, I guess if you have the time, right? But if your life is jacked up, trust me, trying to find out where the mermaids live is not going to help you pay your bills or take care of your family or take care of whatever else you need to take care of and fix. But you could tap into Mami Wata and get into, Yeah, I know. Oh, you said that, Dr. Mona Harrison. She was before Dr. Emoto. I tried to find some videos, but I couldn't find any video. But I remember you telling me that. Matter of fact, let me write down real quick, Doctor, because you always tell me that she was the first, the melanated woman. So even look at that, right? A melanated woman was the first to do these water experiments before Dr. Emoto, as Ultra Instinct is saying, and this is before Mami Wata. All right. So it's another deity you could tap into. And of course, spirit baths, right? Spirit baths, this is something that you want to do. Spirit bath is basically to cleanse your aura, aka your electromagnetic field, aka the energy that you give off, right? Your emotions are a superpower. Now you know that. Your emotions are superpowers, really. If you're able to master them, you're able to now direct them, and you're able to harness energy. You're able to now utilize energy. I call it vamping energy, right? I call it energy vamping, right? If I go to a place with big crowds and I know they're there to have fun, I know they're there to enjoy yourself, I know they're there to emit positive energy. Oh man, that's like me going into a all you can eat soul food buffet, and I ain't got to pay no money for it, but whatever the entry fee was. That's how I look at it. And there's so many things that I've seen really literally manifest from doing that work, right? That miraculously come to me because of that. So again, but you're not going to be able to maximize even that type of power spiritually if you don't do these type of things. Because if you're just coming into this, or if you're new to this, or if you've been in this for a while, you really need to the first thing you should do is a spiritual bath. And once you do the spiritual bath, the first one you do, you'll feel it. Most people, in fact, I don't know anybody who's done their first spiritual bath, including moi, that didn't feel it the first time they did it. So this is how you do it. You brew a strong herbal infusion, all right? I like to say let it boil, sit for an hour, okay? Add to a bath filled with water. So the bath with water, you're going to put some Himalayan sea salt, right? Or you could put some kosher sea salt, but you don't want to use the white boy sea salt, right? The regular shit you get from the motherfucking store, the iodized salt. Hit something more closer, something more pure. So the kosher sea salt is good because the kosher salt is a different type of salt, right? It's more so the salt of the earth. And then you have the Himalayan sea salt, which is by term, right? Salt of the earth, Himalayan, right? So you want to put that in there. That's also an element that is electric, right? Salt is a protection. Salt has protective properties. So you put that in there, and I'm going to give you the herb soon. So you're going to bathe in the water, right? And you bathe in the water, and so you wash yourself first. Wash your body with soap and water, right? Or if you could do this in the shower too, right? You could do the shower. If you're doing it in the shower, you want to wash yourself with soap and water. If you're doing this as a bath, that's okay. Because the bath, you're going to immerse in it anyway. So you're going to be clean and cleanse yourself anyway. And then you're not going to really, like, when you dry yourself, you kind of want to pat. Like, the last thing you want to do is, like, pat yourself dry, right? Like, pat yourself. It says air dry, but I'll pat. You know, we got things to do. You ain't got time to really sit there and air dry. And what if it's cold or whatever? So you just, instead of just going over yourself heavy with the towel, just pat the towel on you so you could have those herbs. So, and I say sit in the bath for at least an hour and listen to music. Sinners movie, right, was about music. Listen to the music that's about your objective. All right. This is now we're talking alchemy, right? Listen to music while you're in the water, right? And of course, you want to use warm water. If you're putting, but that of course, you don't want to put boiling water in the bath and burn yourself, right? So that's why I say boil it, let it sit for like an hour so it cools, and also the herbs brew and it has more potency. It's a stronger batch, right? And the herb you're going to use is Abre Camino, all right? And again, when you start opening up these doors, remember, you're opening up a door to the spirit world. So make sure that you have protective crystals. Make sure that you have protection, spiritual protection. All right, light you a rosemary candle. If you have nothing else, rosemary is very easy to get, and a 7-day candle is very easy to get. All right, put that motherfucker in the bath with you. That'll be your starter kit. All right, Abre Camino is something you could get at any botanica. If you don't have a botanica in your town, go online. I recommend originalbotanica.com. Okay, originalbotanica.com. What does Abre Camino do? It's a road opening. All right, it's tied to a legba or papa legba or eshu. We'll get into that in another time. It's about opening the road, clearing obstacles. All right, bringing new opportunities, positive change. All right, when you open a road to something or want to do something new, often there's a test. Often there's a test because spirit wants to test that, see if you really want to do what you're trying to manifest, and is it really alignment with spirit. And not only helping raise the vibration of the planet, but helping you grow so that you don't have to continue repeating lives here, right? So positive change, right? So look out for the test. Sometimes it could be the X that comes back, right? Sometimes it could be the opportunity to go back to a career that you've outgrown already, but the money might look appealing when if you just focused on your own shit, you make more than that, plus some. In the next life, sometimes it could be, to eat that food that you haven't been eating that you said you want to eat, so you want to lose weight because you want to, in the winter you want to go to whatever you want to go to Dominican Republic and shake your ass, right? This is the type of things that you do, all right? So Abre Camino. So we'll go into a little more. You're going to add Rose and Abre Camino. You could get rosebuds, again, originalbotanica.com, Abre Camino, rosebuds. You could get both of them. What does it do? It attracts love and romance, all right? We all need somebody. Don't let the internet and these bitter broads and these bitter dudes get you caught up in this gender war. Everybody needs somebody, all right? We both need the masculine and feminine principle in our life. I would be nothing. You hear me? Nothing without beautiful, spiritual, powerful Black women that I know. That fuck with me, that teach me, that guide me all across the way, from deep depression, suicidal thoughts, being hypercritical, being hyper negative, to me continuing to evolve into the man that I am, right? So you want to add Abre Camino and Rose, attracts love and romance, heals emotional wounds. All right. Don't be looking for a relationship partner and you fucked up. Would you date you? That's the question you want to ask yourself. Even as I'm saying this, ask yourself, would you date you as you are now? Not the potential, not what's going to happen 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Would you date you as you are right now? Would you date you? Because you got to be the person that you want to show up for you. You want a guy that's fit, right? Meet all the sixes, right? 6 foot, 6 figures, and the other 6, right? You want that. But on the other side, are you a woman that's supportive, right? You got this man that's doing all this, right? And making all these moves. He might not be home all the time. Are you cool with that, right? Or do you need your needs constantly met? Do you need somebody that's constantly talking to you and taking up your time because you don't got nothing to take up your time with, right? On the flip side, you're looking for this woman that's submissive, that's going to support you in your dreams, right? That's going to align with you, that's going to be loyal to you, not cheat, or things like that. You know what I'm saying? Are you the type of person that has a mission? Do you have a mission that's clear, that's defined? Do you know what you're supposed to do? Do you know your purpose as a man here on earth? Are you moving towards that purpose? Are you taking steps towards it? I'm not saying be perfect. You know what I'm saying? We're not with the Jesus. We're not, a lot of spiritual people have this Jesus mindset. And I even have that you got to be perfect to walk the spiritual path. No. That's the reason why the books in the Bible from 13 to 30 are missing. Because even Jesus himself in the mythology went through some shit. Yeshua, which would be the alternate name from Jesus, or the original name actually, because J is a recent invention. The letter J is a recent invention. Went through some shit. So how do you treat people around you, right? Rose also enhances memory, right? If you are a student, we're in the summer now, so a lot of people aren't going to school, but if you're studying, let's say you're studying this type of things, all right, put a little bit of essential oil rose drops on the pillow, especially for your children, right? A little bit of essential oil rose drops. Come to Mama said Abre Camino. How's it spelled? So write it down from here. Come to Mama. ABRECAMINO. This is right here on top. So that's how it's spelled. So Rose naturally enhances memory. A lot of times when I'm doing this type of work, like putting together these things, or reading and doing studying, have my diffuser. I have rose. I have rose oil in my diffuser, right? Little joint like this. This ain't rose, but I have the rose. I just don't want to go all the way over there and get it. But yeah, essential oils, right? And put rose in the diffuser, and it'll help your memory, right? It'll help you, and it'll enhance it, right? And it protects the heart, all right? So rose deals with the hurt. It might bring up past hurt. It might bring up, now you might, again, bring up past hurt. You might bring up exes, right? It might bring things up into your subconscious. Information is light, but you're going to have to face it. You're going to have to face your trauma. You can't continue running from it. You're big now. You're grown now. You can't blame mama anymore. You can't continue blaming daddy anymore. They did their part. Maybe they didn't do the right part. Maybe they didn't do the right thing. Maybe they didn't do it the right way. Maybe they didn't have a manual back then. We do now. We have more information with the internet, but they didn't have that back then. So we also have to forgive our parents, as hard as that can be and as much as that sounds. And if you had great parents, then you have to forgive the lover. So you have to forgive the person at your job. And the reason you forgive is not on some Christian, kumbaya shit, but just so the heart is light as a feather. My aunt, that is our indigenous, imperative to make the heart as light as a feather so that your intuition will take place. Once your intuition goes online, then guess what? Now different archetypes start to lock in different times. Meaning when you gotta be gangster for certain shit, you'll be gangster for certain shit. And that spirit of Ogun will come into you. When you gotta be relaxed and reserved and think about something, right? That spirit of Onmila or the spirit of Tahuti will come upon you, right? When you need to be more just in your thinking, and you might have your biases based on, again, more traumas, right? Ma'at energy will come online for you. You know what I'm saying? If you need to go to war for injustice, and you see an injustice and you just can't stop it, then, Ogun will come online for you, right? You start to embody different archetypes naturally, because now you're embodying God. You're embodying the divine. You're embodying the all. This is why archetypes and mythologies are in spirituality, because you are the whole zodiac really. I'm not just a Scorpio. I'm all 12 of them. You are all 12 of them too. Whatever your dominant sun sign is, that's just the natal personality that you come into this world with during this incarnation to achieve whatever purpose you're here for. Once you achieve that, once you're moving towards that purpose, right, then spirit starts to show you more and more coincidences, more and more breadcrumbs, which you see in this video. I've shown you some already, and will confirm your pathway. Will confirm that you're on the right track. Different things will happen, blessings, right? Different challenges are also going to come. Life is like a video game. All right. Every level, there's different devils. Every level, there's different challenges. And the more you rise up the spiritual ranks, that tougher the challenges. But now, remember, as you rise up the levels, just like in any video game, right, you get more weaponry. The more you learn, you get more tactics. You know how to do different moves, right? You'll get more skills as you continue to climb from level to level to level to level, right? So if you play a video game, that's how it works. Especially like an action game or a hero's journey type of game, right? You continue to get more and more skills and more weaponry. So when you face the big boss at the end and you're about to ascend, you're able to defeat them and move on. All right. And this is not even for just this physical life. This is when you go to the duat, right? And you, or the Egyptian duat, in depth, and your heart is weighed by a feather. You know, there's a reason in Christianity they talk about you being judged, and it's not from Christians. It's from us. So how to read your life purpose from your birth chart. I want everyone, if you are still here, if you're watching the replay, I want you to screenshot this. I want you to take a picture, pose for the camera now, flick, pose for the camera now, flick. I want you to screenshot this. I want you to take a picture. I want you to screenshot this. I want you to take a picture. I want you to write this down if you need to. This is how you read your life purpose from your birth chart. The sun sign is your core identity. All right. That's how you present to the world. That's how you really, your power is going to lean. Your dominant power is going to be based on your core identity, which is whatever zodiac sign that's in. The moons, that's your emotional blueprint, how you act within self, right? My moon is in Gemini. So when you hear me talk, you don't hear me just talk about men. You don't hear me just talk about women. I usually use examples from both sides to make my point if I'm talking about male or women, female dynamics, right? So that's my emotional blueprint. What's yours? Rising, your embodiment path. So I'm a Cancer rising, right? My mood got to be in place for me to make things happen, right? I have to make sure that I am energy, because what happens to me personally is I go into hermit mode when I'm not on point. I get away from everybody, and I'm a Scorpio, right? So the shadow is me going into hermit mode, me being away from everybody, me not talking to people, right? Me, not interacting with people, but people love me in general. And I'm not saying that on some ego shit. It's just, I've been here for a while. I understand the impact that I have on people. So it's a lot of times I'll break relationships, or things that could have benefited me will have gone by the wayside because I didn't maintain the connection, right? So the Cancer rising means I have to maintain my mood. So that's why you see me with things like Tulsi, and you see me with things like rhodiola, right? Because my childhood trauma, the things that I went through growing up as a young Black boy in the hood, being homeless, being addicted to drugs, running the streets, selling dope, in survival mode, right? Running from both my parents, not even knowing what to do with me, not knowing what they really had, right? Me being a creative, but me being pressed down, all those things, right? I have to now heal from. So I have to find herbs, which is the somatic part, right? This is the somatic, meaning the body work, right? Working with the soma, working with the nervous system, which is what Cancer is about. I have to do that work so that my mood, right, is high, so that I could maintain peace. So when they talk about Iran and all this shit, I don't give a fuck about that. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck. I give a fuck about my bills. I give a fuck about my children's health. I give a fuck about my granddaughter and how she's doing. I don't give a fuck about, you know what I'm saying? For real. I'd be seeing some of y'all, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, like I get it. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die in a high vibration. That's my purpose, to die in a high vibration, so that if I don't have to come back here unless I want to, right? And some of you have chosen to come back here because you've wanted to, and you'll know that depending on the vibration frequency that you come back with. Sometimes, especially if we have a knowing from young, where you didn't learn this later on in life. Some of you have a knowing from very young, and you've went through some hardships to be more of a godlike figure and have more empathy for people, where you're able to connect more with the all. So the empathy is not for people. It could be for animals. It could be for nature, right? Things like that. So you're able to connect more. Your North Node is your karmic destiny. All right. So it is what you're here to do. All right. It's what your purpose is. It's what you're here to put into place. All right. Me, my North Node is Scorpio. So what I'm doing right now is what I'm supposed to be doing. All right. And trust me, I've ran from this responsibility many a times. But guess what? When you got a calling, it's always going to call you. And you could run, you could smoke, you could drink, you could sex. What's that song? The good song to embody that is Cranes in the Sky by Solange. You know what I'm saying? I try to shrink it away. Don't let me hit you with my horrible singing voice. All right. Midheaven. All right. So this is your public mission. All right. What your public mission is. All right. Me, my public mission is I'm a Pisces midheaven. Right. So again, I'm supposed to be doing this type of spiritual work, working with people, helping people, things like that. All right. What's yours? We ain't all supposed to do this, but you got value in some sort of way that may be other than this. What's your public mission? All right. Find that out. Look at that. Start making your visions and your dreams about that instead of worrying about a bomb being dropped on you. If the bomb's dropped, at least if you're on your purpose, right, there's a more of a better chance and you're in peace, right? You're in rest and digest instead of fight or flight all the time. There's a better chance that you don't reincarnate back here and have to do this shit all over again. Second house, value and worth. All right. So look at the second house in your chart. All right. This is the value and worth that you bring to the planet. All right. This is the values and worth that you want to develop within yourself. Sixth house, service and work. So how you're supposed to serve, how you're supposed to work, the energy that you put towards that. And finally, 10th house, career and purpose. Okay. But the main two is the North Node and the Midheaven. All right. The North Node and the Midheaven. Those are going to give you, you know, most people usually know their big three if you're on this path, sun, moon, and rising. But your North Node and your Midheaven, like those are going to give you, okay, these are the defining parts of who I am and my purpose and my mission. And then the second, sixth, and the 10th house are kind of more the details, right? The North Node and the Midheaven, those are like the grand plans or the grand scheme of things, right? The grand archetype of your life or the grand purpose of what you're supposed to be pursuing, and the details, the value, the service, the career, right? And it says 10th house, career and purpose, right? So again, things you want to look at. These are going to things in your chart. You could do this right now. Astro-seek.com, 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 or any. I like that website because it's detailed. So yeah, I'm not even going to recommend anything else. Use that one. And you get your free, and I'll put in your free birth chart. I believe it's on the left of the screen where you'll be able to access what that is. Let's go. All right. So in closing, damn, it's been a long ass video, but I hope I brought you value. All right. We still got another 2 videos to go. So we're going to talk about this fireball streak in the sky, and I'm going to bring you some wisdom by Pretty V. All right. Now, this fireball streaking in the sky reminds me of the serpentine fire. All right. This comet that streaked across the sky last night. It reminds me of that Shekinah energy. Right. It reminds me of the divine feminine. Remember, this is summer solstice. Even though it's the season of women, the summer solstice is the season of the sun. Right. It's a water sign, right? Its ruling sign is the moon. But what does the moon do? The moon reflects the light of the sun. It just reflects the light of the sun in a different way. Same way women reflect the light of the sun in a different way. Women have light. Women have information. Women have creativity. Women have the same godly qualities, right? And arguably, you could say a little bit more than men do, based on their natural inclinations, right? You see more women in churches and spiritual services versus men, because men are more designed to play or more trick knowledge into playing a role versus developing themselves, right? But a lot of women are doing the spiritual work. We gotta be honest, and we gotta be real, and we gotta be truthful on this channel. So this fireball, for me, based on my perception and my understanding, this fireball, this comet, is a representation of that Shekinah. And again, I don't know what East Atlanta got or what it looks like or what's the information, but it flying over East Atlanta and booming, right? It's a cleansing, right? And it's a wake-up call. And the energy is in the air for those who are meant to tap in. And I believe that even though it just flew over there, right, there's a reverberation effect all through Americas, because that's just when it was seen. Who knows, where it went or where it didn't go. And this is just what the news told us right now. There are people, well, actually, let's go to the videotape and learn a little bit more about that, and then we'll close out. Shout out to y'all who've been with me this whole 3+ hours. I salute you if you haven't, or if you want to replay, thank you. Please hit the like button. Please hit the share button. All right, there'll be more videos coming. Like I said, I got my new computer. Where is it? Oh, let me show you. Well, now I ain't gonna show y'all my computer, but I got a new computer, so I'll be hooking that up. So the stream will be much more crispy. All right. And yeah, we got a lot more in store. The membership will be coming. All right. I'm gonna try to learn how to do Patreon. So don't worry, I got y'all. It's spirits like I gotta be more visible. So I'm gonna listen. All right. I've been running, but I can't run no more. If I keep running, I know what's gonna come next, and we don't want that. So let's pull. Let me show y'all this. Hold on. So let's look at this media thing real quick. I appreciate that, T. Durham. Welcome. I haven't seen you on this on the thing, but you know I like to shout out my people, so welcome. All right. Let me see. Let me pull this up for you.
Potentially had meteorite fragments that actually entered the roofs of some folks' houses down in Henry. So hundreds of reports coming in from Thursday between 12:25 and about 12:40 across North Georgia, upstate South Carolina, of a fireball or meteor, bright streak through the sky. And also new reports coming in that we potentially had meteorite fragments that actually entered the roofs of some folks' houses down in Henry County. Joining me now to talk about this event that has really been the talk of town over the last hour is Mike Hankey, the operations manager with the American Meteor Society. Mike, thank you for joining me today.
Hi, thank you.
So what can you tell us about the expansive size and number and frequency of reports that you've been getting in the fireball log on the American Meteor Society website?
Well, I just started working on this maybe 20 minutes ago, so I'm putting it all together still, but you know, we've received over 200 reports in like less than 2 hours of this event. They all come in like right away, and that did cause some like downtime on our site, but we were still able to collect all the reports and process them and print a map that shows the witnesses and the trajectory path that's estimated from those reports. I can send this to you in an email. It's on our website now, but you would want to show this map probably if we're talking about it.
Sure.
There's a blue line that we you know, compute, and I say estimated because we're just taking in what people are telling us. It's not like I mean, it's scientific, but it's eyewitness reports. So there's an
inaccurate. Can you describe for us, where did those the reports, where do they spread from and to? What areas of territory are covered there?
Listen,
they're mostly from, it looks east of Atlanta and around the Atlanta area. A lot of times these can be impacted by weather. So a meteorite like this really could have been seen, like we have reports from North Carolina, Tennessee, Florida, but there's no reports from Alabama, which tells me that there was some type of weather maybe that was obstructing some views. But yeah, quite a lot of people to the north, south, and east of Atlanta have reported this, and it looks like it occurred just south of Atlanta.
And for those who, Mike, for those who see something like this in the sky and they wonder what on earth is this, can you describe to us very briefly what is a fireball, what is a bolide, how do you classify them, and what's that process of it kind of lighting up as it comes into Earth's atmosphere? What are the physics going on?
Earth's atmosphere from space, it's going from a vacuum to, you know, a dense, you know, atmosphere, and that causes friction, and it causes this, you know, illumination of light that we see in the sky, and that light usually
So, yeah, this is a good question. Where do medias come from if we're under a firmament? Yeah, we're not under a firmament like, some of these conscious influencers are telling you, right? Medias can't come into the atmosphere or and past the magnetosphere, troposphere, and other realms of the atmosphere very easily. These are balls of fire from outer space, right? So there's always, if you look at like a space weather channel, there's always meteors coming and always asteroids and things like that. Some miss the planet, some hits the planet, right? But it depends on what you're talking about as an idea of the firmament, right? Some people say this firmament because they believe in flat earth, right? I'm not a flat earther. I don't support that idea because I don't see any of my ancestors that supported that idea. You know what I'm saying? So I don't go with that. I see that the way they make structures in indigenous lands, such as the teepee with a circular base and a triangular motion up, I don't see anything that suggests flatness unless I go into the Western world. For instance, where the places we live now, you see these flat, square, boxy structures. But in Eastern societies, they're more circular, they're more conical, and they're more of a 3D circular or conical model representing a different aspect of ascension, or an aspect of ascension itself, to be honest. A teepee is nothing but a small ass pyramid, right? A hut that's shaped like a pyramid is nothing but a small ass pyramid, right? So if you look at a lot of, and you could think about it, think in your imagination. You've seen a lot of huts and things like that, even in like Wakanda Forever, things like that, where they live. You won't see like these flat, square surfaces or flat surfaces. They're always models that are erect or raised up, but circular. So some people think of the firmament as different things, but that's again, is that my thoughts. How would that help us? How does that lead to your spiritual personal development? Whether we are under a firmament, who knows? And really, what does that have to do? And I'm not demonizing your question. I'm just saying, to be practical, right? What does this really have to do with your spiritual development, whether they are or they not? The real meat of it is the comment, and what type of spiritual impact will it have? Man, it's interesting that this thing is called a bold eye or bold eye comet, right? It sounds like bold eye, right? Or bold third eye, or a bright third eye, or opening of the third eye. So again, I don't know about Atlanta, East Atlanta. All I know is a Gucci Mane, East Atlanta, Santa. But if you do put in the comments the temperature and what's going on, I know, the surface level, things about, just the LGBTQ and, the that is mostly melanated people, things like that. But I don't really know the areas. So, I lived there for a little while as a youth, but that was over 20 years ago. So I don't know what the temperature is like that now. But I know if I went over these areas that there was a cleansing going on, because to me that's Shekinah energy. So you could look more at this. There's videos of it actually going through the sky, the actual comet, but it's very interesting. And it was a big thing people were, communicating about this. And I wanted to tap in a little bit on it. All right, and so let's go into this, and we'll close with this. And this is some divine wisdom from someone I wouldn't necessarily say is a divine feminine, but why would I say she's not, right? With this wisdom, because this is really what happens when your nervous system has been healed. This is what happens when your nervous system has been healed. True story. When you look at this, hold on. When you look at this is really what happens when your nervous system has been healed. And Pretty V, another social media influencer who was down with B. Simone, the person we covered earlier, right? I don't know what happened with them, but she is let me just play this. You'll get it when you watch.
Let me connect on and just really and truly tell y'all about my last post, bruh. Like, so what? So what if they mad at you? So what if they don't care about you? So what if you lost this? You'll get it back. So what if they don't like you? So what if they hating on you? So what if they mad at you? So what if Brandon's get there? So what if you didn't get the audition and your friend did? Be happy. So what if you're lying down with a man who say he loved you and tomorrow he's cheating on you? You decided to stay there. So what? So what? So what? We got to stop looking at the, oh, why am I in this place? And, what's happening to me and how, why people don't like and care. So what? That was your choice. You need to move on. You need to ask God for strength in this season and peace and the capacity to do his will and his way. So what? That you're broke. Go get you a job. So what that you got money? Ask God to maintain that, because there's seasons where you're up and you're down, you're here and you high and you low. So what if you got some haters? So what that you're creative? So what that you're...
Now, this is what a healed nervous system looks like. I don't know what type of work she did. I don't know if this is natural to her. I don't know if, but this is what a healed nervous system looks like. And it might sound like she's being flighty or she's advocating irresponsibility. That's not the case. What she is saying is that really shit that y'all think is matters don't really matter at the long run. And things change. Like, okay, this happened. So what? Like, you know what I'm saying? All right, let's move on. What's the next thing? Okay, this happens. Am I going to dwell in stress? Okay. I told y'all at the beginning, those of y'all who knew here, I told, rewind it back. When I opened this, there was a story where I discovered this guy I was talking to was talking to somebody else, right? And it just came out of well, I can't say out of nowhere. There was something I was prompted to do, which I explained at the beginning of the video. But, am I going to sit and dwell and, this person? And I'm not saying, things hurt. People hurt. I've been in relationships that were deep and that hurt and that scarred me and that had me crying and all that. I'm not saying you can't feel and feel and feel. But after you go through them feels, man, move the fuck on. You know what I'm saying? Heal, learn the lesson that relationship gave you. Don't be sitting there year after year after year after year after year hating that same person. I've had people I have relationships with that I don't personally like. Right? Personally, I don't like them, but I still have to extract what I was supposed to extract from me being with them, the lesson, because that's the key. And the way I extract those lessons is by going into silence, solitude, meditation, into the womb world, which is meditation is dealing with that womb area, breathing in and out from the abdomen, right? If y'all want me to do a video on meditation, a quick video, I'll do it. It'll probably be in some paywall or membership, but I will do it for y'all. But the abdomen area is what controls the breath. It's what controls the spirit. It's not the heart. It's the breath. From the gut, right? The gut has its own brain. It's called the enteric nervous system. If you can control your mood, how you feel about it, right? If you think about somebody you don't like, you're going to see that your gut gets tight, right? Think about somebody you don't like now. You'll feel your gut tighten up. Now think about somebody you love. That gut is not going to be tightened, right? So there's physical impacts to the gut based on your perception of things. How you perceive things from this third eye, from this pineal gland, right? From Jacob's ladder, right? Is going to control your whole environment. It's going to control your electromagnetic field. It's going to control the electric output, what you give to the world to say, this is what I want to receive. It's going to control the magnetism you bring back. So a lot of shit that you go through, her saying, so what? It's like, okay, this happened. Let's move on, right? But there is a part of healing that has to do. You can't just so what everything. But this is, after the work, what it looks like and what it should look like.
you're mad. So what that you're happy. We got to stop caring about the noise that continues to target you. You just got to be you and do you and walk into your destiny and walk into your purpose. And whatever good that's out there will be a magnet to you. But so what if you fly? So what? So what? That's the word of the day today is so what? Get out your head and continue to be who God called you to be. So that's the biggest thing for my last post, you guys. I'm commenting on people posts. I'm liking back. I'm commenting on the post underneath the comments. So y'all go check out that.
All right, y'all. So that's how we closing this out. If anybody has any questions, now's the time. This is a long ass video. I always say I'm gonna try to be shorter, but I haven't talked to y'all in a while. So consider this a gift. All right. Hopefully everything made sense to you. Hopefully you actually do this work, right? The spells that I'm giving you, the spirit bath, the herbs, they're really about you healing. You know what I'm saying? When you heal yourself, when you heal your nervous system, when you heal and know how to utilize your emotions in a magical way, right? And I'm giving you herbs for the body and a spirit bath for the spirit, right? Water element, right? Earth element, both feminine energies, to utilize these things to help you become the most high version of you, for you to achieve Christ conscious, Buddha consciousness, right? We are trying to embody Christ. We aren't trying to embody the Buddha. We're trying to embody a sword. We're trying to embody Ogun. We're trying to embody Yemaya. We're trying to embody Shango. We're trying to embody Het Heru. We want to embody, you know, we want our ancestors to come through us and speak to us and communicate with us, right? I just tapped in last night to an ancestor, right? And the reason I'm tapping to this ancestor now, I believe, is because I have been doing the work, A, and B, I'm on a fasting. I've been fasting for like close to a month now. Not eating anything all day, but I'm on some NOI shit, right? Elijah Muhammad, how to eat to live. So I'm eating one meal a day, right? Well, let's say 1.5 when I'm working out, right? So I'm eating like a post-workout meal and then a main meal between 4 and 8, right? And then that's it. So my stomach is going down, right? I'm eliminating a lot of waste, you know what I'm saying? I'm losing weight, but my skin is glowing. A lot of good things are happening. My thoughts are clearing up. My conscious is back online. But this takes discipline. Do you know how hard it is to eat one meal a day, especially when you first start? And so much good food is out here. It's not easy, right? But if you want easy, be mediocre. If you want easy, be average. If you want easy, just be a talker who has all the great things to say and uses all the big words in the dictionary to confuse you and make you think that they're greater than they are. Right? Because what good will your words do if they don't understand you? Be careful out here with these influencers. Be careful out here with these teachers. Be careful with niggas who tell you don't get on the plane in January, but they're flying on the motherfucking plane to an event. I'm going to say this again. Be careful with these social media influencers who are telling you when the planes were dropping not to get on planes this year, but are flying on planes to an event that you're going to pay for. Be careful out here. Use discernment. This is what this work is about. You'll be able to see these charlatans for who they really are. You'll be able to see these charlatans that's pushing fear on you, that's not empowering you, that's keeping you in trauma, fear, fight or flight of what's going to happen next, what the government's going to do next, what the secret societies are going to do next, what the World Bank is going to do next, what's going to happen in Iran, what's going to happen in China, what's going to happen in all these places thousands of miles away from you. Rather, you focusing on home, cancer, home, you, family, your close ties, healing work, your emotions, that Cancerian energy. The reason why this motherfucking comet zipped across the sky, All right. I don't see any questions. With that said, as y'all know, I love y'all. Take care. Wakanda forever. Peace, power, and prosperity. Rob Blackstorm. Shout out to my queens behind me. One love. I'll talk to y'all very soon. Peace.